everybody to another BDA Boxing podcast hangout, whatever you want to call it. We're still undecided now after a year of doing these things. We still don't know what exactly we're going to call it. Whatever it's called, it's here. March 11th, 2018, we bring you another entertaining show. This is Mr. BDA with you, and as always with me, my co-host, King Bucho. King, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Alright, sensational. Now, if you guys want to join us out there, you know the drill. Go to Google Hangouts, send us an instant message via the email address that's on the top of your screen, boxingdebate@hotmail.com. That's boxingdebate@hotmail.com. First time users, we will require an email for you, or from you I should say, to send you the invite, and it's a one-time thing only. You don't have to keep giving us your email every time you want to join. Don't forget to subscribe to BDA Live and BDA, or main channel, the mother channel. Got a lot of interesting developments. We're also starting a Facebook page, and we are in need of moderators, preferably people from the chat room who are part of the BDA family, preferably also people from the Hangouts. And we're gonna start to expand here, people. We need to expand because, I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of people out there, I'm starting to find out, because I'm new to the YouTube boxing scene. Bucho he's done more research on it, he's been on it longer than I have. But I'm starting to find out that there's a lot of people there that form factions. And so we need to have our own faction. I do believe that we already have it, but we need to solidify our position here in order to be able to defend ourselves and also strike back if required. Alright, so we had a lot of interesting fights yesterday. Mikey Garcia versus Lipinets, Scott Quigg taking on Oscar Valdez, and Relikh, Relikh taking on Barthelemy for the second time. So Bucho, how about we start with the Relikh Barthelemy fight, as you know, while people start settling in and listening to the show.
Okay, sure.
Now, Barthelemy, it seemed to me, a lot of people think he's not that big a puncher, but at least in my eyes, he appeared to be a bigger puncher, at least on paper, you know, faster hands, and a little bit of a harder puncher than Relikh. Now, of course, you have to remember that Barthelemy has never been considered elite. He did struggle against Arash Usmani, but then again, that's not a knock on him. Arash Usmani is a tough guy, but he struggled against him. Then he struggled against Shafikov. A lot of people thought he should have lost that one. He didn't look great against Mickey Bey, the fast-handed Mickey Bey, whom he took the IBF title from, and that was a split decision, a very boring fight. Then he fought Relikh the first time, controversial fight. A lot of people thought Relikh should have won that one. And now finally we got the rematch. And Bucho, Relikh just completely outworked Barthelemy. So it was an interesting fight because it made you wonder, was it Barthelemy who had slowed down, or was it Relikh that improved? And whatever happened, he ended up outpointing and outworking Barthelemy. The guy threw, talking about Relikh, he threw about 100 punches per round. I mean, we've seen guys be able to do that. Juan Diaz, Antonio Margarito, what was the guy's name? Ray Oliveira back in the ESPN days. But I can't remember the last time I saw a guy throwing that many punches. It was quite impressive, and he was packing a punch in there too. Is it safe to say now, Bucho, that there's something going on with Cuban fighters? Because, I mean, this is what, the fifth guy that's lost in the past 6 months? The fifth Cuban guy, I should say.
Yep, yeah. Well, there's also not a lot of them, to be honest.
Well, there's 5 of them.
And I guess it just happens that they fought all at around the same time, I guess. So it's a coincidence.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. And do you think this is, I mean, look, I know you're a logical fella. You need evidence before you can make extraordinary claims, but is it a coincidence these guys are losing, or is it because these Cuban guys are stepping up and we're finding out, or actually other people are finding out, that the Cuban school, when it comes to the professional ranks, might just be a tiny bit overrated?
Well, that's something like Precise would say, I guess.
No,
I mean, I don't know. I think it's an in-between thing. Oh, there's Precise. Some of them are okay. I mean, maybe, okay, I'll say this. Some of them were overhyped. I mean, they're Cuban. Oh my God, he's a Cuban boxer. Like, not all of them are gold medalists. I mean, you look at Luis Ortiz. He didn't even win an Olympic medal, and I think he just won a silver in the World Championships. Okay, I mean, but it's not something like crazy. I mean, the guy's 30. It was what, 36 when he came to America, or mid 30s, let's say. And his amateur record, I mean, he had a lot of amateur fights, but that's pretty much where it ends.
But it's interesting, like, because when you win the podcast, because I just saw that Boxing Fairy Tale say, "Hey, stop immediately! I'm still listening to the last podcast." You gotta listen to this one, man. You gotta keep up. But yeah, what I was gonna say was, if you win a world championship, it's considered one step below the Olympic gold medal, which is saying something, because if you win the world championships, you become the favorite to win Olympic gold. So winning the world championship is quite a mantle. Silver medal, I don't think it's that bad, especially if it's a close fight. It means there's not that big a difference between the silver medalist and the gold medalist. But you're right, Luis Ortiz, they were making him out to be this Guillermo Rigondeaux type double gold medalist, and it just wasn't the case.
Yeah, no, he's not. Listen, let's just calm down with the Cubans. But like I said, there's also not a lot of them, right? So let's take that into consideration, right? So like, there's somewhere a few Cubans fighting, and then let's say out of the 5 that are fighting, 3 lose. You know, it looks bad because of the percentage. But then again, there's not a lot of Cubans too.
Well, I mean, look, there's 5 that just fought. I mean, that's too
and
little,
it's a coincidence that it happened to be that they all fought, or like they fought at around the same time.
Okay, well, coincidence or no coincidence, what's going to happen with Lara then?
Well, it doesn't look good, does it, man?
But hey, it's just a coincidence, you said.
Yeah. No, I mean, who knows? It's a separate. It doesn't have anything to do with, like, what I'm saying. Just coincidence, man. Let's see how Lara performed, but let's also understand that Lara is. How old is Lara, man? Mid
36, I think. 36, something like that. Yeah.
This is gonna be a very physical fight against super middleweight Jarrett Hurd. So it's. Yeah, he might be another victim. Another Cuban victim.
Alright, so you're saying it has nothing to
do... Just because of his age.
You're saying it has nothing to do with coincidence, it's just they're fighting better guys.
Correct.
I gotta take a wicked shit.
Man, let me tell you something, you're all over the place. But okay, yeah. I get what you're saying. Regardless, Barthelemy got outworked yesterday. Were you impressed by Relikh's output? Because I know he's a high output type of guy, but man, he just stepped it up another notch.
Yeah, and what's his name? Rancy
Barthelemy.
Yeah, he didn't actually. I mean, he was scared to throw punches, man. And I can understand why, but at the same time, I mean, fuck. At some point, you gotta. He was just shelling up the whole time, and I don't know.
Well, that's usually what happens when the other guy's throwing 100 punches per round. He doesn't give you a chance for you to open up if you're covering up all the time.
Yeah, well, take a step back or something. I mean, he just stood there and shelled up, and then just backed up. Was on the ropes. He's getting hit on the body, and you could tell those body shots were hurting, man.
Yeah, I was impressed with Relikh's punching power, because I know he had hurt Barthelemy in their first fight, and he couldn't hurt him quite the same. He couldn't stagger him the way that he did in the first fight, but he's still. You could tell. I mean, usually guys that throw 100 punches per round tend to be pity pat punches, or they don't have that much steam on their punches. I mean, some of them have snap, but they're not the type of shots that even wear you down. I mean, remember, Juan Diaz would outwork guys, but he wouldn't stop most of them. Most of the top guys. Relikh was packing quite a punch in there, and so I'm looking at that. Let's put up the 140-pound landscape. Okay, so which we saw yesterday briefly. You saw Rances Barthelemy there. You see him at number 9. He's not going to be there any longer, because when Ring Magazine updates their ratings, it's probably gonna be Relikh who's gonna be the number 9, maybe even a little higher. Also, Lipinets lost against Garcia, so maybe he goes back, and so maybe Relikh isn't gonna be number 9. Maybe he'll be higher. Regardless of that, here we see Kirill Relikh. Looking at his record, he's from Belarus. 22-0, 19 knockouts, 0 knockouts. Now, the reason why I said he's light punching, I thought he was a light puncher despite his record, is because remember, it can go both ways. Sometimes if a guy has been knocking out opposition, even if they're subpar opposition, the way they're knocking them out will tell you whether that person is a bona fide puncher or not. The way he was going at Barthelemy and Ricky Burns, I didn't think he was that much of a puncher, but that guy's packing quite a punch, and he's very dangerous because he's 28 years old, he's in the peak of his physical condition, and like I said, he can throw 100 punches around, and on top of that, the guy hits hard. So there's nothing I would fear more than a guy that throws a lot of punches and who throws them hard. Kind of like the reason why Pacquiao was so good, because not only did he throw them ultra fast and ultra hard, but he could throw about, not necessarily 100 punches a round, but he could keep it up there at about 50, 60, 70 punches per round, which is quite a high pace if you think about it. So Relikh moves up, Pucho, and as you saw there, the 140-pound division. I'll put it up again if this thing allows me to. Okay, there we go. So here we have so Jose Ramirez is going to be taken on Imam next week. Barthelemy probably gets out of the top 10 in the junior welterweight division. Josh Taylor, who's going to be fighting soon, I believe. Lipinets probably is going to fall in the lower the bottom 3 of the 140-pound division. Troyanovsky, who, as I said earlier, I haven't seen him fight. Indongo again. So we're seeing a lot of reshuffling here in the past 2 weeks, and the following week as well, because like I said, Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor are going to be fighting. Regis Prograis, or what did they say? How did they say it was spelled? Prograis? Prograis. And Antonio Orozco. Let me tell you about Orozco. I think he is really one of the guys who could make the most noise in this division if he could only get his goddamned act together. He's in the same boat as Frankie Gomez. Very talented, but it just seems like either they don't like the sport and they don't take it seriously. Maybe they're afraid. I don't know. I really don't know what's going on here. But that's the landscape. Victor Postol is number 2, and look, Mikey Garcia, I haven't really seen him beat anybody from the top 140 pounds, but Broner, who's been fluctuating between 140 and 147, I thought he was a top opponent, and so because of that, I do think Mikey Garcia deserves to be at number 1. I think he's the guy with the most ability and the guy that would be the favorite amongst... Oh, and don't forget, he also beat Zlatikanin. I get the name right because I'm reading it. But those were 2 good wins, and now he beat Lipinets. So I don't think there's really any doubt that he's a number 1 guy. And Victor Postol, who lost against Crawford, hasn't fought since 2016, has he? Bucho?
I have to check.
Well, I'm checking. I'm just checking. But yeah, I don't think anybody would disagree with that. That Garcia deserves to be the number. No, he fought once last year in September against, this is a whopper of a name, Jamshidbek Najmidinov. The guy is
he's 140 East European division or what?
It would appear that way. I mean, Lipinets, Troyanovsky. Nah, not really. There's 3 names there. Well, if you include Barashik, who fought on Friday, but then again, Petrov is more of a natural lightweight, so I wouldn't put... But I don't know. Well, maybe because of all this reshuffling, we could see Barashik moving up in the rankings. Let's go to the chat room, Butcher, real quick. Aiden Morrison says, Quigg came in heavy as fuck and got blasted. LOL. Precise sponsor, shout out to Precise. You should get on at Frank. Who's Frank? Anyway. Tubes says, shout out to Tubes. Even the Scottish people said Burns didn't win. Boxing Fairytale, shout out to Boxing Fairytale. Says,
is there any controversy? Sorry.
No, I haven't read it. Did you read something?
No, there's no controversy at all, man.
I think the thing we're going to spend more time talking about regarding Quigg Valdez is the stylistic components of that fight. Is Stu on the line?
Yep.
Hey, Stu, are you there?
What's happening, boys?
Hello, Stu.
What up?
If if Wilder took that shot, well, we wouldn't be talking about a Joshua Wilder fight. We'd be talking about when's Wilder getting out of his coma.
Stu, welcome to the show.
You know that, boy. You know it.
Did you have a chance to catch the fights last night?
I did indeed. I had to switch between Mikey Garcia and Vasquez fight because they were on the same time, different channels.
Mm-hmm.
So we had Scott Quigg on Sky Sports and we had Mikey Garcia on Box Nation. So I had to switch. Now, the Vasquez Quigg fight was a very, very exciting fight. I mean, really enjoyed it. I heard Vasquez's jaws broke. Quigg's nose. I mean, Quigg looked like something from Star Trek at the end of that fight.
Yeah, the guy was cut and his nose was. Did he actually break his nose? Because they mentioned that.
If that's not a broken nose, I've never seen one.
Already, the guy looks pretty weird. He has the look of that guy. I mean, I don't know where you're from England. There's two, but you British people, you have the reputation that in the pubs, people tend to. There's always that one guy that just loves to fight with everybody. And Scott Quigg looks like that guy. He looks like he's that fella that he gets a couple of drinks in his face and he's just, all right, time to rumble, you know?
That's the thing about England. When you go to nightclubbing or drinking in the town centres in England, the likelihood is you're going to get some fucking idiot in your face thinking he's fucking Mike Tyson.
Man, what was the name?
But when you hit him on the chin, and he becomes Amir Khan.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But
yeah.
Scott Quigg, I told you Scott Quigg's a tough guy.
Mm-hmm.
I told you he's going to be hanging around to the 12th round, still coming on with pace. Vasquez, very exciting, very explosive. Fought how I thought he would, and faded. I mean, I don't think he faded badly because I don't think Scott Quigg was putting the pressure on him that he needed to. Quigg was closing him off the ring and he was following him around and he was trying to rough him up. But when he got a chance to load his punches, he didn't throw combinations. Everything was single shots. Mm-hmm. And I think when you fight someone like Vasquez, who has tremendous hand speed, he's vicious punching. He's a vicious puncher. He might not KO you one shot, but if you get hit 3 or 4 times by Vasquez, it's going to tell its toll. And I think that's where Quigg was going wrong. He was just getting tagged too much. When he got into range, we had to work and use his size advantage on Vasquez. I just don't think he let enough punches go. I think it was all single shots and played into Vasquez's hands a bit. I mean, I know I've heard that Quigg had a broken foot or a fractured ankle, whatever it was. So it's obviously hindered his camp. I'm not going to use that as an excuse because I think Vasquez is the more talented guy, but I still think probably a Quigg that had a better training camp, made weight, that would have been a great start. I think he could have made an even better show of himself, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right, man. And but hold on, I mean, don't you think Quigg did put the pressure? Don't you think? That's what I saw. I thought he was trying to stick to Valdez as much as possible.
He was putting the pressure on, but he wasn't throwing his hands enough, if you get what I'm saying. He was doing a lot of following around the ring and then hitting him with single shots. And then he was getting tied up. And, you know, the fact is he should have been, when he had him on the ropes, he should have been throwing. He did it a couple of times, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But he's got to be doing that constant.
Well, I will say,
to beat someone like Vasquez.
I agree. He should have been more constant. Also, he was winding up, like you said, too much with his shots. He should have, when he did throw straight shots and then hooks, or when he feinted, he was able to get Valdez, especially late in the fight when Valdez started dropping his hands. But would it be fair to say that Valdez is the quickest guy he's ever fought? I mean, I think he's even quicker than Carl Frampton.
I don't know why I've been saying Vasquez. I'm tired, boys. I've had my twins today, and they're enough to take about 3 days' energy off you. So yeah, Valdez. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, good point. Valdez is explosive, isn't he? Very quick. But I watch Valdez. He stands in the pocket far too long.
Yeah.
And I think a decent counter puncher with a good bit of pop in him, I think Valdez could be in trouble.
Yeah, listen, I'm gonna have to be frank here as always that I picked Quigg to win the fight. I thought he was gonna come on late and that his body work was gonna take its toll and he was gonna get a decision over Valdez, because Valdez, he still does a lot of mistakes, but let me tell you, he did improve a lot of things. He was a little more defensively responsible this time. His stamina improved because in his last two.
definitely.
Yeah, in his last two fights against Mariaga ended the fight stronger, and so did Genesis Servania. This time, however, he was able to fight back when Quigg really put the pressure on in the 11 and 12th. So props to Valdez, man. He proved me wrong. But if he wants to beat guys, and this is the thing, Bucho and I he was disagreeing with me because I still contend that Cole Frampton remains the better fighter. I think he's just more technically sound than Valdez. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, a decent counter puncher, you know, I think could cause him a lot of trouble. Valdez throws beautiful shots, but he stands in the pocket. He's a bit like Amir Khan. He stands around admiring his work a bit too long, and he stands straight on as well. It's like he's an easy target for a good counter puncher, and I think that's when he's going to get caught. When he's throwing his bombs, he's staying around in the pocket, square on, and that's a nightmare when you've got a decent. I think Frampton could stop him, to be honest with you.
Whoa, okay, well let's go to
Here's
Bucho
the
on
thing.
that
I
one.
think Valdez has more power than not than Frampton. I'm saying more power than what he showed tonight. But let's be honest, fucking Quigg was so big, there was no way Valdez was gonna hurt him.
Good point. Very
There's
good.
no way.
I told you, Quigg's a tough guy. I told you that's going
But
the distance.
he's
I said,
also
if
a big
Valdez-
guy, man.
Yeah, I said if Valdez is going to get the stoppage, it's going to be early, when he's still fresh and explosive. If it goes past the 6th, 7th round, it's going to be a long night for him. And it was. Let's be real. He got wheeled off in a wheelchair.
Holy moly. Yeah, that's impressive, man.
You know that?
No, I didn't know
Yeah,
that. I didn't know that.
Valdez is in the hospital still. He's got his jaws broke. He got wheeled off in a wheelchair. It was a tough fight for the guy.
Yeah, that's why somebody mentioned in the comments of the prediction video that we had made earlier this week, and he said both guys are probably not going to be fighting anytime soon. But Bucho made a good point.
Well, I think Quigg will.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's crazy. But
He didn't look. He looked. I mean, he looked at his face. He never got tired.
well, let me
He
show.
looked the better guy in there, like the guy who took less punishment.
I'm gonna put up a picture of Quigg after the fight, and I don't know if you guys can see it, but man, he looks. Well, you can't see the cut, but you can see his eyes are just a little puffy, but it's really the nose. Look
Yeah.
at that
That
nose.
nose, he looks like he's half Klingon, doesn't he? That nose.
That's a good. That's a good way
Yeah.
of putting it. Hold on, let me put a picture of a Klingon there.
Man.
But by the way, speaking of tough Scots, do you remember? You guys remember Scott Harrison?
Yes, the Scottish guy, crazy as hell, man.
Yeah, crazy
Good
as hell.
fighter. In prison though, I think he went to prison.
I
He's in
think
prison.
so. But yeah, he reminds me a little bit of Quigg, in facially a little bit. All right, but there you have the Klingon, like Stu said. And where's Quigg again? There's Quigg. It's a forehead and the nose that really makes him.
I think the cut was a hindrance for him. I think he was doing really well because he got Vasquez hurt, didn't he? And he was hitting him with some good shots. And Vasquez looked like he was he was a bit out of ideas. He was getting tagged up. But I think Vasquez caught him with a good shot. I'm not sure. It might have been a headbutt. I didn't see a headbutt in that fight at all. But he caught him with a good shot, cut his eye, and ever since then, Quigg was missing a lot. He was rubbing his eye quite a lot, getting the blood out of his eye. He was. I think it took his game plan off, sort of thing, and he just wasn't the same fight he was in the round before. I think that cut could have made a lot of difference. And then he's still coming forward, and then when you get your nose broke like that, I mean, when you can't breathe out your nose and you've got a gum shield in your mouth and you're tired, it's a horrible experience.
Yeah, it must have been, man. Freaking Quigg, but Bucho made the good point that if he would have been in there if Valdez would have been in there against anybody other than Quigg, who looked significantly bigger, I think he would have at least either dropped him or even stopped him. I mean, because was that
a lot of featherweights? Valdez would have put a lot of featherweights out of there. Scott Quigg's a tough, strong guy, a big guy. I said that yesterday before the fight. I said that's what he's about. He's a hard man to get out of there. No one stopped Scott Quigg. Nobody.
Yeah, I think you're right, man, because if you compare Valdez's other fights, for example, when he fought Mariaga, I think he dropped Mariaga, he dropped Servania, he could drop Quigg, but even then you did see Quigg get hurt a little bit to the body, and then with a left
Them
foot.
body shots were ferocious, though, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, who else could have taken them?
Exactly, tough as nails, mate. Tough as nails. I mean, a lot of this has been made about this 142 that he came in. I said he'd come in at 140 pounds. He has done all his career. It's nothing new. So I don't know what all the surprises are to everybody. I think the fact is Valdez come in 135 on fight night. It's giving away £7 in the featherweight division. £7 is a hell of a lot of weight to give away.
Yeah, that's what I told people. Nobody.
Quigg always comes at 142.
Yeah, 140. Quigg's always gone at 140.
That's
Always.
A big guy.
I mean, yeah. Even he was coming in at 140 nearly at super bantamweight, bro.
Now the other
Jesus.
thing, one of the reasons why I think people weren't picking Scott Quigg isn't necessarily because they think Valdez is that good. It's just that Quigg had been out of commission, or at least out of North American eyes, for quite a while. After the Frampton fight, he fought 3 times, and he didn't really fight any top-notch opposition. So I think that's one of the reasons why people were tentative to pick him. But after last night, I think they see that this guy, it's gonna take a really tough guy to beat, not only beat him but to stop him, because really who else can beat him in this division? Speaking of,
Santa Cruz?
You're talking about Valdez.
I'm talking Quigg.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I still think the top guys beat Quigg, only because Quigg has. There's something about Quigg that just isn't there for me. I think he lacks talent. I think he's just one of these fighters that will and desire has got him as far as, and basic skills has got him quite far in the game. And when you've got a lot of will and desire, it can get you so far. I just think when you fight the top guys, you have to have a bit more about you, like we talked about the other day, like that extra bit of punching power, that gets you out of trouble. And I just don't think Quigg's got that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think really the hand speed it would cost him against a guy like Gary Russell Jr. or Joseph Jojo Diaz. Let me put up the featherweight rankings as you can see them here. And we have Josh Warrington from the UK, 26-0 with only 6 knockouts. Jesus Rojas, who I think is the dark horse of this division. Not a lot of people have seen him fight, but he is tough as nails. Maybe you can catch him early, but he just keeps coming, and he puts suffocating pressure on guys. Scott Quigg, who lost last night. Joseph Diaz Jr., who has yet to beat a guy that's really gonna push him. He's got extraordinary talent. I think he's better than Valdez. He doesn't hit as hard, but I think he's better schooled, and he's more economical with his movements. Then you have Valdez, then you have Mares, Lee Selby, Carl Frampton, Gary Russell Jr., and of course the top guy, Leo Santa Cruz. But let's get down to brass tacks. Is Oscar Valdez ready to take on a guy like Santa Cruz?
yep. Of course he is.
Okay, but
What more do you want? I mean, he fought a tough guy like Quigg and survived.
yeah, I
Let's
suppose.
be honest. So many feathers would have crumbled at some point against Quigg. So listen, he's tough. We've seen him. Yes, we've seen him get dropped and get back up. So he has heart. He has a lot of skills.
Santa Cruz is
Wow.
he's a difficult fight for anybody because he's got tremendously long arms and he uses range well, and he's constantly brings pressure on you, and he's a very good counter puncher as well. And I just think his style might be all wrong for Valdez, because let's be real, he's got a good chin as well. Who's hurt Santa Cruz?
That's a good point. Point. But I will say this about. Yeah, go ahead.
I think Valdez at the later rounds, Valdez is going to come. That Santa Cruz is going to pile the pressure on because he comes at a pace for 12 rounds. He's a good fighter, Santa Cruz. I just think he might be a bit too much for Valdez.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think because I was very surprised that Santa Cruz was able to outbox Frampton in their second fight. I mean, I know there's people out there that think that he should have lost the first fight. I thought it was, in my eyes, it was clear that Frampton deserved to win the first fight. I'm not saying it was a blowout, but I thought he did enough to take the fight away. I don't know about you, Stu. What do you think? Do you think he should have lost the first fight, Frampton, or do you think he won that?
I had him winning the first fight. I had Frampton winning the first fight. I had Santa Cruz winning the second fight. I think Santa Cruz made adjustments where Frampton went in with the same game plan sort of thing. And that's one good thing Santa Cruz did. He adjusted to what he needed to. The first fight, he realised where he was getting beat, and he changed that up, and he changed it up. Have you noticed he was a bit on the defensive side, Santa Cruz, fighting a bit on the back foot, counter-punching Frampton when he was rushing in. And I think his adjustments were quite impressive. So, yeah, I had it. It's 1-1. There has to be a third for me.
Yeah, I mean, look, for example, Nicola Ferrari, he thinks Santa Cruz beat Frampton both times. I disagree. I think Frampton beat him the first time and then clearly lost the second one. But those adjustments that Santa Cruz made in the second fight, like you said, I was impressed with that because Frampton is the type of guy that he wants you to come forward. He wants to outbox you. He fights with his left hand down. So when it comes to putting pressure, he can walk down guys that are of inferior quality. But against Santa Cruz, he just couldn't catch him. And so that begs the question. Oscar Valdez is a guy who likes to move around the ring, shoot his strong power punches, move, get out of the way, and then restart. I don't know if Santa Cruz decides to box from long range, I don't know if Valdez can catch him or chase him down. So that's why I'm picking.
Spot on, bro. Because I think, like you said, with the range, I think he'll struggle when you're sitting in the pocket, planting your feet and throwing that many shots against someone with good range, good power himself. I mean, Santa Cruz has only got to take a step back and counter Vasquez, and Vasquez could be in a lot of trouble.
I agree, man.
Yeah.
I agree there. But suffice to say, we gotta give Valdez credit for the way he fought last night. I didn't think he was gonna win, so it was a surprise. Now the question is, where does he go from here? Because again, I bring up the let me bring up the rankings again from Ring Magazine. Jesus Rojas, I think he might be aligned with the PBC, I'm not sure, or I think he might be a bit of a free agent. So Valdez and Joseph Diaz Jr., I don't think they're going to fight each other because Diaz Jr. is with Golden Boy. Abner Maris is with the PBC, and so far top rank at the PBC have not been willing to work together. Lee Selby from the UK, is he with Eddie Hearn or is he with some other promoter?
Selby's with Al Heyman, I think.
Whoa, okay.
But Eddie Hearn's his promoter, and I think Al Heyman was his manager. I might be wrong, so I'm sure one of your boxing boffins in the chat will put me right if I am wrong. But I'm sure he was with Al Heyman. But his promoter's Eddie Hearn.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. But so there's a possibility that the fight could be made. Then you have Gary Russell Jr., Santa Cruz, who are definitely with Al Heyman, and Carl Frampton. His managerial or promotional situation, I should say, is a little bit dodgy at this point, right? Like he's trying to break away from what's his name? What's the name of that Irish guy? Former world champ, Mike Wiggins. Now, was Mike Wiggins his promoter or was he his manager?
Both.
Oh, okay.
No, you on about Frampton?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was both. He Cyclone Promotions. He was his manager and his promoter.
Okay, well, he's trying to break away from them because he feels he was shorthanded in terms of financial.
He's broke away from him, bro. He's gone.
Okay, so who's he gonna go out? Who's he gonna go with?
He's going to Frank Warren.
Okay. Oh, Frank Warren. So there's a possibility
there. Nation of Frank Warren.
Okay, so if he beats Nonito Donaire, which I still feel is a dangerous fight just based on Donaire's left hook, if he beats Donaire, it might make sense then to put him in there against Valdez, unless Frampton prefers to try to go ahead and make a third fight against Santa Cruz.
I love that fight. Frampton Valdez, I love that fight.
Yeah, now, do you think he beats Donaire at this point?
Yeah, I think Donaire's not the guy we knew at the smaller weights. You know, this guy, he's fighting at a weight that he's got no business in. Mm-hmm. He's past his best. I mean, he was past his best when he fought Rigondeaux. So what is he like now? He's a very dangerous guy, Donaire. If you're not on your game, you know, and you've not took him seriously, you're going to get hurt. Mm-hmm. So he's no bum. He's still a top fighter. I just think his best days are past him. I mean, let's be real. who is it who schooled him? Fucking hell, who's the Armenian guy? Come on, man, help me out here.
Darchinian?
Vic Darchinian.
Right.
Vic Darchinian was boxing the brains off Nonito Donaire until he got caught. And Vic Darchinian's a small guy and not a great, for me, not a top fighter. And he was boxing the ears off Nonito Donaire. So Frampton's a lot more dangerous than people like him. I mean, Jorge Arce was holding his own until he started getting fucking leathered.
You're right.
So, you know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Frampton beats Donaire. But now Donaire, one of the things that's frustrating about Donaire is he always had fast hands, that left hook, which was dynamite. But he a little bit like Valdez, he would run out of ideas after he dropped guys. Most of the times he would drop guys. And then, like I said, he would sort of run out of ideas and just start winging shots, and then he would start getting tagged, and then he would look subpar. And then he started losing fights, and now he is where he is. He still has that left hook, he still has some hand speed, but I think, like you said, Carl Frampton, I think he's just too solid and still in his prime physically.
I think the accurate punches from Frampton. I mean, he's not hard to hit, Donaire. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I mean, and Donaire likes it when you sit in the pocket and go to war with him. But Frampton's got a bit more about that. We've seen that through his career. He's more than capable of boxing. I mean, say what you like. You can. These people can be at Santa Cruz's backside all they like, but he got outboxed in the first fight. Frampton won that for me. So he's capable of. I mean, the way he boxed Quigg on the back foot. He's a good boxer. So I don't think he's just going to have too much for Donaire.
Yeah, and when Quigg started putting the pressure on Frampton, they started fighting in the later rounds inside, and Frampton can hold his own on the inside. He can trade in there too. So I don't see Donaire winning this. Unless...
Exactly, because Frampton's got Tyrannosaurus Rex arms, isn't he?
Right.
Really tight. He's got no reach. So Frampton's, when he's at short range and mid range, that's where he does his best work. So when Donaire does sit in the pocket with Frampton's more than capable of holding his own in the pocket as well. So yeah, it's a hard fight for Donaire.
It's a very hard fight, and then again, he always has that equalizer, but at this point, I don't know if he can land it enough.
Frampton's got a good chin. I mean, Frampton's never been badly hurt, has he?
Nah, he's been dropped, but he's never been spaghetti. As far as I know, he's never been spaghetti-legged. Okay, so that's a good. So the featherweight division, again, I'll just put up the rankings real quick because it is a loaded division, perhaps one of the best, if not the best in boxing. I mean, just look at that quality of fight. I'm telling you, Jesus Rojas, tough guy. Scott Quigg, still a tough guy. Joseph Diaz Jr. undefeated. Valdez undefeated. Maris, veteran.
Is Maris still in there?
Who?
Yeah.
Maris.
Yeah, Maris is still there. Yeah, he's still there. He's gonna fight Santa Cruz, I think. That's
what I'm saying. He's a top quality fighter too.
But
I'll tell you what. Lee Selby is a very underrated fighter. Lee Selby is a difficult fight for anyone. Lee Selby would beat Scott Quigg quite comfortably.
Wow, I have to watch more of him then, because if you feel
Selby's very talented, very talented guy, man.
You're gonna have to keep an eye on him.
Well, Scott Quigg's not fighting at 126 anymore.
Yeah, so. I don't think that's gonna happen anymore. Let's go to the chat room real quick, see what people are saying. CB, shout out to CB, says it looks like Linares Lomachenko is made according to. Oh shit! I can't see the link anymore. Dr. Steelhammer, shout out to Dr. Steelhammer. Tube says Loma Linares May 12th. Is that fight done already? Is that what they're saying?
I think it's signed.
I thought somebody had mentioned Lomachenko versus Luke Campbell. I thought that was the fight that they were gonna make.
I hated that fight.
Well, Campbell is pretty good, but well, yeah, I'm looking at boxing scene here, and they're saying that
Luke Campbell needs to get a few wins behind him. Right? Granted, he gave Linares a good scrap, and he's a world class fighter. He is, but Lomachenko is elite. There's a difference between world class and elite, and I think if you've got a young guy like, I know he's not too young, but he looks it, doesn't he? But he's still quite fresh in terms of how many fights he's had. You could still get a career out of him. I just think throwing him to Lomachenko after he's just had a hard fight with Linares. I mean, Eddie Hearn, man. Just to do that, I just think it's wrong. I know they're in it I know they're in it to fight, and that's what they're there to do. So they've got to fight the best. But I'd like to see Luke Campbell get a couple of fights under his belt before he goes up and fights Lomachenko, because it's going to be fucking ridiculous to watch.
Well, I do think it would be an interesting matchup, because when's the last time Lomachenko fought somebody who had fast hands and who was as tall or rangy, I should say, as Campbell is?
Walters.
Yeah, but Walters, he doesn't really fight from the outside that much. He's more of an inside fighter.
I think Walters can fight both ways, I think.
Yeah, he can. But Campbell, I just think he's a better a more natural outside puncher. I mean, boxer. Yeah. But you're right, he's still too green. He gave Linares a couple of tough rounds, but that's not enough to warrant a fight against. Lomachenko right now should be fighting other guys that are almost as good. Like, for example, Mikey Garcia. On paper, I think he beats 99% of everybody he faces. Like what I'm saying is, before the fights, he would always be the favorite. I think the only guys he wouldn't be the favorite over is maybe Lomachenko, or if he goes up to welterweight and fights somebody like Crawford or Errol Spence. But other than that, Linares, and that's the thing. Okay, so before we move on to Linares, Lomachenko, I want to get your thoughts on you said you watched Garcia Lipinets, right?
Yes, say again.
You said you watched Garcia Lipinets, right?
Yeah, I was switching, bro, because it was on the same time as the Quigg fight, and I was switching. What I saw of it, I don't know what to make of it, to be honest with you. I didn't know what to make of it. Mikey did what he had to do. I don't think his opponent was too great, to be honest with you. He looked he was quite a tricky southpaw. Well, no, he wasn't. He was an orthodox fighter. Was he orthodox?
He was. He had a funny
style. Yeah, he was. But he had a funny style about him, and he looked quite tricky. But he just never looked like he was ever going to beat Michael Garcia. It never looked like he was going to hurt him. Like I said, I can't really give too much on the fight because I didn't see enough, but. It looked a bit of a mismatch. I think Precise said it was going to be a mismatch, and I think Mikey Garcia is a sort of fight. I think if he's got someone better in front, I think we'll see the best of him when he's got a dangerous guy in front of him. But I think he was just going through the emotions with that one, sort of thing. That's what I saw of it.
Yeah, I think Garcia is going to look good when he's fighting guys that come to him, guys that open up, like Orlando Salido, for example. When it's a guy with fast hands who's not going to open up that much. He's not going to look like a killer, but let me tell you something. People were saying, it's going to be a one-sided fight. I think that's a credit to Mikey Garcia. Not so much that Lipinets is a bad fighter, because Lipinets, he's been training with Buddy McGirt lately, and he's trying to really fight like James Stoney. And he does a good job every once in a while. He's pretty hard to hit with right hands. And Mikey Garcia was just spearing him with jabs and long right hands and lead left hooks. And he didn't stop the guy, sure, but he just put on a boxing clinic. Now, some people in the chat room, I forget who it was, said that the Lipinets fight was closer than most people, or that the scorecard suggested, which I think is correct. He did throw some good body punches against Garcia, but I think Garcia was in control of that fight. Now, the question is this. To me, Mikey Garcia is a bit of an enigma, because I don't know if he really is into boxing. He had that hiatus, and it didn't seem to affect him all that much mentally. It seems like he's got a foot out the door. He's into guns. He wants to be a lawyer or cop, I forget which. So it doesn't, he has all the talent and skill in the world, but it just seems like he doesn't really want to be into boxing. Now, I was reading the forums, and people were saying that he's making comments. He's making comments that he wants 3 more fights before taking on Lomachenko. Now, if indeed he did say that, I gotta wonder what the hell he's talking about 3 fights. If the fight's gonna happen, he's ready for it. He's beaten some.
I'll tell you something now.
Yeah.
In 3 fights' time, he won't even be able to make the weight to fight Lomachenko. He looked flabby in there last night.
Yeah,
he looked a big flabby guy, man. And unless he does something about his shape, he's going to struggle to make the weight to fight Lomachenko.
Yeah, man. I mean, usually guys look their best during the weigh-in because they're dehydrated. This guy, he looked flabby. He looked like he was a couple of pounds away from having love handles. So there's something bizarre going on with his body. Now,
And that could be down to what you said. Not his heart's not in the game. He's not training hard enough.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know what. Like I said,
I think he's just very naturally talented, Mikey Garcia. He's lucky because he's quite naturally talented, but he's naturally tough as well, strong. I mean, you never see him get hurt very rare. You see him get hurt. He's never marked up. He takes shots and just smiles. He's just a naturally tough guy.
Mm-hmm.
But if he hasn't got the heart to do the training, then he's never going to be at his best.
Would he be motivated to fight guys like the ones he fought yesterday, though?
Maybe.
I mean, I think he needs a big name.
This is exactly what I said. I think to see the best of Mikey Garcia, you've got to stick him in with someone that he fears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with Butcher's assessment of that. But that's the thing. There's a rumor going around that he wants Lomachenko after 3 fights.
But why 3 fights? Like, I don't get it. Like Stu says, like, first of all, in 3 fights, God knows if he's even able to make 135 or 140. I mean, so I don't know, man. Like, and also, who's he gonna fight before he fights Lomachenko? How many? Because it seems to me like he wants paydays.
Mm-hmm.
So throw me some names. What kind of paydays can he have before he fights Lomachenko?
You can bet your life. In Dongo's going to be one of them.
Oh no.
Nobody's gonna buy that shit.
Okay, look at the.
No, but
Butcher,
look at the rankings. There's nobody.
Well, look.
I mean, there's interesting fights that we as boxing fans would like, but they're not money fights.
Okay.
I told you that division is poor.
It is, man. Now, okay, I'm looking at Jose Ramirez, who's still an unknown commodity. I would favor Mikey Garcia over him. Barthelemy, who just lost, I would favor Mikey Garcia. Josh Taylor looks promising, but too green right now. Lipinets, he already beat. Troyanovsky, as I've said, I've never seen him before. Indongo, forget about it. Mikey Garcia, I think, knocks him out. Prograis, I should say, untested yet. His best opponent so far is Indongo. Orozco, who knows if he's going to be fighting, but he would be a tough fight, but I still think Garcia beats him. Postal because of his style, but then again, who would you favor against Mikey Garcia here? There's nobody.
Well, you know the Barthelemy, does he fight at 140?
Yeah, he's fighting at 140.
He fought Relikh, didn't he?
Yeah, last night.
Yeah, see that Relikh looks like he could be a decent opponent for Mikey. He looks all right. He does.
But if he fights Garcia the way he fought Relikh, I mean Barthelemy.
Of course, but that's the only way he can fight. So, yeah, I agree. He's going to get beat, but it'll be a decent fight. He's going to put up a much better fight than half of them in Dongo and Ricky Burns and all them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So there's not a lot to choose from, bro. I mean, is he world champion now? I think he just won the vacant title. So there's one for Mikey. Sorry. You know what I mean? That's a decent fight to put on. I mean, Barthelemy got his ass whooped.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah, that was bizarre. I mean, Relikh threw I think more than 1,000 punches in that fight.
And the commentary was making me sick to my stomach. They made out that this was the fucking Superman from Cuba. You know, this guy. They made out he was a world class talent, putting him up there with the big names. You know, this guy was getting his ass whooped by a guy who's already lost twice.
Right. Yeah, man. I mean, and Barthelemy, I always liked his style because he fights on the inside. He's a body puncher. He's not like the classic Cuban school type guy who just moves around the ring. But you're right. He was never upper echelon type. Even at 135.
He got outboxed. Cuban in my ass. The most overrated school of boxing there ever was. I mean, let's be real. The Cuban school of boxing got schooled by the Belarus fucking school of boxing.
Yeah, listen. If you wanna win Olympic titles and world titles in the amateurs,
he got outboxed, bro. He didn't just get beat up and overwhelmed. He got outboxed.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, because people are gonna make it out to be as if Relikh was just walking forward, throwing shots. No, he was making Barthelemy miss too. So, listen. If you want to win amateur titles, you want to have a stack of trophies and medals at the amateurs. Hey, Cubans do it maybe better than anybody else, maybe. But when it comes to professional boxing, it's a whole other world.
Yeah.
And Cubans so far.
Let's be real. When you look at their record in professional boxing, it's nothing. It's nothing to cry about, really, is it? Let's be real. I mean, they've never had a heavyweight champion. I mean, I know Stevenson back in the days was a very top world-class heavyweight that never went pro for obvious political reasons. So he could have been a champ. They've never had a heavyweight champion though. And like when he was reeling off their best fighters, all right, Kid Galahad and all them, yeah, great fighters. But then when he started naming Rigondeaux and Lara and all that, like these were all-time greats. I mean, there's nothing to crow about too much on there, really. Let's be honest. Barthelemy one of the highest ones they were talking about. Oh, the first Cuban to ever win three titles at 3 different weights. That's the best you've got to offer. Fucking hell, man.
Yeah, man. Anybody can win a world title nowadays. Now, Bucho, we were talking about that, about Garcia and who we would like to see him fight. How about you? I mean, is there anybody that you would be interested in to see Mikey Garcia in, or would you only be interested in him fighting either Terence Crawford or Lomachenko?
No, forget about Crawford. I think he's too big for Mikey Garcia. A Lomachenko fight at 135 would be interesting. Linares fight would be interesting. Robert Easter Jr. is calling him out. Why not fight him? You know, he's with the PBC, and it seems like Garcia is also with the PBC. So make that fight happen. Unify a division. Do something, man. There's so many things he can do instead of just fucking moving up and down in weight. And I don't know his weight division is right now.
Yeah, but
I don't know. At 135, I just don't think Mickey. Mike. I quit calling him fucking Mickey. Mikey. I don't think Mikey. I don't know why. I'm tired, boys. Like I said, them twins have drained me.
Right.
But, at 135, I just don't think Mikey's going to be at his best. I think he's going to struggle at that weight. He's very flabby. I think if you take that energy off him, he's going to be lethargic and slow. So I don't know, man.
Well,
he looked a lot bigger in there last night. And I know he's not a natural 147 fighter, but his weight and the way he is shaped, he's more of a 147 fighter, if you get what I'm saying. I know he should be hovering around 135, 140 if he was a prime athlete, but he's not. He's, like you said, he's not training properly. So, and he comes in that sort of shape. And let's be real, he looked big in there, really big. I'm not sure he can make 135, and if he does, you could be talking like a drained opponent that comes in like a zombie.
Right.
Like Daniel Gill against Cotto, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that weight difference right there. But I don't know if what the thing I'm trying to say is Mikey Garcia. It could be again. I didn't see him tired last night. So maybe the body is a bit of a mirage. Maybe again, this isn't a bodybuilding contest.
I said that yesterday though. It is a mirage. You can't go by the shape, but I just think when we're talking weight divisions, you know, and you've got all that flab, then it's going to make the difference when you're trying to cut down. I mean, I know flab's a lot easier to lose than muscle, but that flab might be that's giving him the energy.
Exactly. Yeah, it could be.
So it's how some fighters don't. Like I said, muscle's not always the key, but I just think with 135, he just looked huge in there. For I just don't think he'll make that weight again.
It's doubtful. I don't know. Again, he's talking about 3 fights until he fights Lomachenko. He was out for about 2 years. He signs with the PBC, which means he's more interested in making money than actually fighting the best. I mean, he was with Top Rank. He could have made the Crawford fight or Lomachenko, although Lomachenko 2 years ago really wasn't what he is now. But still, I mean, now he's with the PBC. Who does he fight? Robert Easter Jr.? I mean, Robert Easter Jr. is the best of the bunch, if you ask me, if he's not fighting Lomachenko or Linares. But still, it's not a big money fight.
Have you noticed though, Lomachenko, he will go up a division, outclass a world champion with ease, and yet he's told straight away he's got to move up. He's fighting bums. He needs to move up and fight the rule. Yet Mikey Garcia gets away with just staying in the wilderness for a couple of years, coming back fighting a bum, disappearing again, coming back, changing his weights, not going after any champion, and avoiding big fights, and yet he gets a pass.
Yeah, man, listen, the thing about Garcia is he was on a good run between 2011 and 2014. And then he had that hiatus because of promotional problems. 2 years. So he comes back, takes on Hold on a second, I always forget the guy's name.
That guy.
Zlatikanin. Okay, I gotta memorize Zlatikanin, who was a good guy, tough, undefeated, but a lot of people like to shit on him after Garcia took him out of the ranks. So Zlatikanin, Broner, and Lipinets, good fights, but again, compared to the momentum that he had back in 2011 and 2014, it's you gotta wonder what the hell he's on about. I think my theory is he's just interested in stacking his bank account with low-level fights right now, and then he'll take on Lomachenko and cash out. That's a theory that somebody posted on a forum, and I think it makes sense.
Does make sense. This guy, let's keep it real. He's had 39 fights. Now we give Wilder stick for having 40 fights. I know he's fought better guys than Wilder, but he's had 39 fights. It's time to move along now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's a lot of these guys. They seem to think that, okay, you know what? I'm gonna have one big fight and then I'm gonna retire. It doesn't work that way. These guys, they say they're gonna retire at 32, and then they end up fighting until they're 35, 36. So
every fight that says that is come to bite them, and it just shows you that when they're saying that, their heart's not truly in the game. David Hay was it? I'm retiring at 32, 38 years old, injury after injury, still going. He's about to fight again soon, isn't he?
Yeah, he's fighting Bellew again.
Yeah, Tony Bellew. This is a guy that said he's going to retire at 32. When you're looking ahead, you know, and you're basically predicting your career that you're going to win this, win that, and then retire undefeated, it usually comes back to haunt you, mate, and that's what it does.
And now you gotta remember, Mikey Garcia was making good money on HBO before he moved on to the PBC, so he's got those paydays, and he is a Mexican, and now you remember what they say about Mexicans.
You can't make a rich Mexican do shit.
So, I mean, he's got that money. I don't know if he's gonna... but then again, maybe he's bluffing. Maybe he's saying, yeah, I won 3 fights before Lomachenko, and that's sort of putting the fire under Lomachenko too. But again, I know that's unlikely. Now that I say it out loud,
I think you've already explained why. The fact is that he's going to cash in because he's doing it for money. He wants 3 fights where he can make his million. He gets decent money, doesn't he, to fight bums? So he's going to take three fights, fight bums, cash in, and then cash in on a big paycheck against Lomachenko and leave the sport and go and be a police officer or whatever he wants to be. But that's how I see it. I think you've knocked on the head.
Yeah. We'll see, and it's a shame because he has a lot of ability. I can see there we have Precise Puncher on the line.
Depending upon how you interpret the data.
What's up with all the transvestites in Hollywood, though?
Because if you're a postmodernist and you don't have any standards, you're always going to keep moving the goalpost, and you're never going to stick to your own standards because you don't have any standards.
There we go, the one and only Precise. Precise, thank you for joining us, man.
Hello.
Hello. Were you able to catch last night's fights?
Well, something came up, so I missed most of them. But I did catch the Mikey Garcia fight, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, as long as we're on it, we're trying to get a grasp on who Mikey Garcia is, because Stu, Bucho, and me, we don't quite see his heart being into it. I mean, he's got, like you said yesterday, he's got the talent, he's got the skills, but what the hell's going on with him?
He's overhyped. He's not a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter. Now, he is elite, don't get me wrong, and he's a good fight for just about anybody that's not a welterweight. But, you know, he's overrated, just like most PBC fighters. Overrated.
Now, do you think he wants to take on a big fight, somebody that could challenge him? Because the impression everyone's getting is that so far he's been feasting on guys that, yes, although they might be tough, it's quite apparent on paper that Garcia can beat him. So what's going on here? He said there's a rumor that he doesn't want to fight Lomachenko just yet, which brings up the question, why not? Garcia's been a pro,
right.
He's been fighting top guys.
He's gonna fight Lomachenko after Mikey moves up to 147. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I don't know what's going on with Mikey Garcia. He was showing promise years ago, and now that that's why with Stu and I were saying, like, he moves on with the PBC, and I have to assume that he did that based on a financial reason. He wants the most money for the easiest type fights possible, and because really, after he moved on with the PBC, he started talking about how he wanted Crawford and Lomachenko, and I'm thinking, and everybody else was thinking the same thing, is you were with Top Rank. If you were with Top Rank, you could have fought those guys. So how do you expect to move on to the PBC and that fight? Now he's bringing up Errol Spence. People, let me tell you something. Boxing fans hate it when a boxer brings up the names of guys he isn't gonna fight, and that's what Mikey Garcia seems to be the winner at that. He's calling out everybody, but he's not fighting them.
Well, I don't know, when Mikey left Top Rank, because they were, and this is my opinion, they were setting up the Gamboa fight when Gamboa was in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
It reminded me of when Bob Arum was trying to set up Mayweather Margarito, and Mayweather said, I'm leaving Top Rank. So that's what happened with Mikey, in my opinion. He's just a cherry picker. He talks a whole bunch, but he's really just a cherry picker.
Yeah, it's a shame because I would love to see a fight against him and Lomachenko just to see what happens. Now, speaking of Lomachenko, people in the chat room were saying that Linares and Lomachenko is done. Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, some little fringe website reported on the fight being done, and I don't know if it was ESPN or some other major news network basically insinuated that it's kind of like when Bob was basically, like, we all knew that Lomachenko Walters was basically made, but Bob hasn't confirmed it yet. I think that's where we are at that stage, basically.
Okay, now first of all, I gotta ask you, backtracking a little bit, who did you have winning, Mikey Garcia or Lipinets?
Mikey.
Okay, because there were some people in the chat room, including Reverse Lee, who just came on the chat. Shout out to Reverse. He says Mikey got schooled. Some people are saying he should have lost that fight.
I disagree. I thought it was close. I thought it was very competitive, but I couldn't give more than 6 rounds to Lipinets. The knockdown made a difference. If you want to say 7-5, Mikey, I'm not going to argue. Anything past that, I don't know. I only watched it once, so, I thought, yes, Lipinets was pushing the action for the most part, and Mikey was retreating for the most part, but he wasn't running, except for here and there, and I didn't see that many punches landed by either guy, and to me, Mikey was the bigger puncher. And, I think I had 3 swing rounds, and there was very little to split them by, but I just felt like Mikey's punches he was more effective with his shots.
Mm-hmm. Well, now that's the other thing is, Stu, you said you were switching on between fights. Why didn't you just pick one and watch the other one later?
Because it was 4 o'clock. It was 4:30 in the morning, bro.
Yeah, but I mean that's what I'm saying. Watch one fight and then go to sleep, and then watch the other one after you wake up.
Because I have my twin boys, didn't I?
Okay. When you said you're twins, I thought you were talking about alcohol. Like you had a pair.
No, I've got twin boys. I've got twin sons.
Okay. Now that makes sense. Okay. That's
Do
that's.
you know what? Funny thing is, they're just like the Charlos. I've got one big one and one little small one. It's like Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know what I mean?
What the fuck?
I think the same thing happened. I think that when in the womb, I think one of the brothers takes most of the food and leaves the little one coming out like a little rat. And that's what happened with my two. But he's growing bigger now, but his brother's a lot bigger than him. Same sort of thing with the Charlos.
That's interesting. Yeah, man. Hopefully you can dye their hair like the Charlos as well.
That won't be happening.
That won't be happening.
And all
right.
them terrible tattoos won't be happening either.
It was just a suggestion. All right, now people are talking about Linares. Reverse Lee says everything goes back to liquor on the BDA podcast. People are talking about Linares Lomachenko, and some people are excited about that fight. Now, I do agree that Linares has very quick hands, a lot of skill, but I just still see him being very fragile. I mean, would you guys be excited to see Lomachenko Linares?
Yeah. I think it's going to be technical, and, Loma's not the biggest puncher, and he's moving up in weight. So if he does stop him, it's going to be late. And I think we're going to get a good, exciting fight with a lot of punches thrown and on a very high skill level. So I'm excited. And another thing is, it's a chance for Lomachenko to finally become a true champion, because he's only been a title holder so far. So he can finally become a champion, like in the best one. Prove that he's the best in the division, right?
Yeah, finally.
I can already hear people shitting on Linares. Who is Linares? Who has he fought?
Yeah, I can see that.
What about his Cuban trainer? The Cuban School of Boxing.
Well, I mean, I'm not shitting on Linares. It would be a good win. The reason why I would pick Lomachenko is credit because of just who he is. I think he's so good that I don't think a guy. Well, okay, I'll put it to you this way: does Linares do better or worse than Gary Russell Jr.?
About the same.
Right. So I mean, I think that speaks volumes about who Lomachenko is. That he's so good that I would favor him over a guy like Linares, and not by a little. I think he clearly beats him for about maybe 8, 9, 10 rounds. But now maybe I'm overrating Lomachenko. Maybe Linares comes in with a great plan. What's that?
Linares is a very, very good fighter.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
very, very good. Probably he's a bit vulnerable around the whiskies.
And it's a different challenge for Lomachenko stylistically. I mean, the guy's taller, I believe he is. He has more reach. He's fleet-footed, pops a good jab, he's not scared to throw punches. And the most important thing is he wants to fight Lomachenko. That's the most important thing here, because you could force these guys into a fight they don't want to go into, and it's going to show in their performance. So he's going to come to win, and that's what's exciting for me.
He's not gonna quit like Walters and Regal.
Exactly.
Well, you never know. Once you're in there with Lomachenko,
he definitely won't quit. He's shown a lot of heart. I mean, he's bashed up a few Brits, so I know quite a lot about Linares. He seems to be the Brit basher at the moment.
He's not quitting, guys. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I just can't see it. He'll go out on the shield.
I'll tell you what. If he lands clean on Lomachenko's chin, he could cause trouble. He's a very good puncher, and he's very crisp with his punching, very accurate. He's no mug. I think it's a very good win. I think I'm picking Lomachenko to win it, and when he does, it's going to be a very good win on his record.
Right. And I mean, like, what? Beltran is a better fight? Berchel is a better... Like, what? This is the lineal champion at 135. That's the best fight you could make right now for Lomachenko.
Yeah,
he's not going to just go up 2 weight divisions, you know what I mean? Or step down in weight. It's really the best fight you can make, so... People just hate on the guy.
To give Lomachenko...
They're going to complain that he didn't unify the junior lightweight division, blah, blah, blah. He avoided Berchel or whatever. It's like...
To give Lomachenko a good fight, I mean, this is just a good fight, not to beat him. To give him a good fight, you have to be an explosive counterpuncher with very good boxing skills, very good timing, and very accurate. And you have to be quite clever defensively. Now, I know that sounds like a lot of tools to have, but that's what you need to have to give the guy a hard fight. And Linares ticks a lot of them boxes. Unfortunately for Linares, he can be vulnerable, and he does get caught. The angles that he comes from, the punches that he's going to be throwing, they're not going to be hard Golovkin punches, but they're just going to they break your heart. And I think that's the problem. I think they just don't enough to get the win, but he's definitely has he does a lot of good things, and he's going to give Lomachenko, I think, his toughest test yet.
Could be, yeah.
Now, like Buchu said, I think... Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, I think Buchu made a good point. Buchu made a good point about how people are going to start complaining if Lomachenko beats, especially depending on how he beats, what's his name, Linares. People are going to say, oh, DeMarco had already beaten him, knocked him out, so had Sergio Thompson. But people are missing the point, which is that Linares is pretty fast, skilled. He hasn't been looking vulnerable in his last couple of fights. In fact, he's looked like he's improved his endurance. But, people...
He's improved a lot.
Yeah, he's proved a lot. He's redeemed himself. Absolutely. So, yeah, when people talk about...
He would destroy DeMarco now. If he fought DeMarco now, he'd destroy him.
Well, now is that...
We're worrying too much about idiots. Who the fuck cares what idiots have to say? In what world is it a bad fight for a guy stepping up in weight to fight the best guy in the next weight up. Like, in what world is it? This is the best fighting the best, and one guy's going up in weight. Like, and anybody who has any criticism about this can just fuck off.
Right.
Seriously.
But these guys, they keep coming up with new bogeymans, aren't they? The boogeymans. Walters was the boogeyman at one time, or Russell Jr. was the boogeyman. He got his fucking ass completely whooped, and all of a sudden he was a chump that fought nobody. Walters, the boogeyman, that who's going to knock Lomachenko's head clean off. Real explosive puncher, power puncher. Lomachenko has no chance. Lomachenko quits this guy on the stool. All of a sudden, Walters was a coward. Never had it in him anyway. You know, drew with Sosa. So they discredit this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have...
No, they're just discrediting themselves, which is why I'm saying it's pointless to even bring them into the conversation. If they want to come on the show and get a spanking, then, well, we actually had that situation and it didn't work out all that
Well,
great,
listen,
so.
I've invited...
The amount of comments that I've seen where, before the Lomachenko fight, where Rigondeaux was going to do a number on Lomachenko. I mean, the amount of comments, it was making me sick to my stomach reading it. These fucking clowns honestly thought that chump... Oh, I'm being a bit harsh now, he's not a chump. But he never had any chance against Lomachenko. Never was good enough. Never could be good enough. That terrible, boring style was never going to be enough to beat Lomachenko. Yet these clowns could not see it. They thought that Rigondeaux was the best thing since sliced bread, and now he quit on the stool, like Walters. They've turned on him now, and they need a new boogeyman. I mean, who's the new boogeyman, guys? Tell me.
Exactly.
So a skinny, a chinny guy coming up 2 weight classes, right, with that Cuban schooling, was a legit incredible fight. But Lomachenko going up in weight, fighting a bigger guy that's also got a similar style, if you will, but is not a credible fight because he's also chinny. It's just like, come on.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
You can't really take these people seriously because they're fucking idiots.
They are.
Now, I was going to say this, that these guys, they love to discredit everybody Lomachenko has fought. Then again, if you ask him, well, how about this guy against Lomachenko? How about this guy? They would all say, no, they suck. So it's 2 things they would have to admit. Either everybody around Lomachenko sucks, or he's that much better than them. You know, they have to pick one. And I think we already know which choice the reality is.
Right after Lomachenko embarrassed Rigondeaux, I saw these channels, fake YouTube channels, boxing channels, so-called. Oh no, he should move up to fight Crawford. And it's like, what the fuck? Why fight Crawford? Out of all people, why move up 2 weight divisions? Oh, it's fair enough because that's what Rigondeaux did. He moved up 2 weight divisions, so now Loma has to move 2 more weight divisions. Like, what the fuck? These guys are stupid, man.
Fucking school Crawford, man. Get out of here.
The narrative of only black Americans or only black fighters are slick and skillful, and white guys are usually bums that just come forward and brawl and block punches with their face. That's their narrative, and Lomachenko is he's made that look ridiculous because he's come with sweet science that they keep talking about, but on another level, an exciting sweet science where you're not boring the stinking the joint out. You're exciting, but you're showing new things to boxing that we've never seen, the angles, the footwork, you know. And I just don't think they can stomach it. If that was a black fighter doing the same thing, God, my God, we wouldn't hear the last of it.
Well, I will say that I can't remember the last time a guy got as much criticism from one segment of the boxing world. I mean, I know Mayweather got it from all over the place because he was he was the biggest boxer on the planet. Like, he was the mainstream guy. Lomachenko is not mainstream, and yet people love to shit on his competition. Because again, here's the thing. There's still a lot of people that don't want to get on the Lomachenko bandwagon because they think, well, eventually he's going to lose, and he's got all this hype behind him from ESPN and from boxing fans, so we don't want to step in there. Then again, there's also people that don't want to support him because of racial issues. So at this point, Lomachenko, people have to admit, because again, this is the other criticism, which is that he's never fought anybody, but you have to wonder, the guys that he's fought, Walters, Russell, Mariaga, Rigondeaux, even though Rigondeaux was smaller, but again, I go back to what I've said after the fight. Lomachenko didn't win because he was bigger. He beat him because he was better. So who else could have embarrassed Rigondeaux the way Lomachenko did with boxing skills? Who else could have embarrassed Walters the way he did, the way Lomachenko did with boxing skills? So that's what I'm saying. It's the contest.
Because Walters had a 1 year layoff.
Nah, you know. Yeah, you know that makes no sense. I mean,
that's the most ridiculous comment in boxing. For all the years I've been on the internet watching boxing, that is the most ridiculous comment that's ever been made. And that's the fact is Lomachenko has fought nobody, hasn't got a very good record. This guy's had 9 fights. Let's go down the list. We've got Gary Russell Jr., tipped to be the next best thing out of America. We've got Rocky Martinez, a world champion, a guy that would give anyone a good fight. He was a top fighter, Rocky Martinez. You've got Sosa, who just drew with Walters and went toe-to-toe with a very good, strong guy. You've got Nicholas Walters, the boogeyman from Jamaica. Yeah, this guy was a world champion too. Rigondeaux, the most talented guy ever to come out of Cuba, according to these people. I mean, I think he's got one of the best resumes in boxing today. I really do. I mean, are you telling me Terence Crawford's got a better record than that? Mikey Garcia?
No.
Deontay Wilder?
I mean, if
Tell
you
me who's got a better resume apart from Canelo Alvarez, Pacquiao, and all them. The obvious, but the rest.
Right.
Golovkin probably hasn't even. Well, probably just as good, but there's not a lot of difference in the resumes.
Well, I would say Golovkin's better. I would say Golovkin's better, but what I was saying was Lomachenko's his performances inside the ring. Compare him to what other people would be able to do against the competition he's beaten. They wouldn't be able to do the same thing. So whether they want to say that Lomachenko hasn't, look, I'll accept their argument if they want to say that he hasn't fought somebody that can match his skills. Fine. That's because Lomachenko is that skilled, in my opinion. But look at the way he has beaten them. That's the most important thing. There's nobody else doing that.
This guy fought Orlando Salido in his second fight, and yet these clowns are trying to tell me that he's a ducker. He don't want to fight anybody. I mean, this is why I can't be around. This is why I haven't got a channel anymore. I can't be around these people. I just can't be around them.
Well,
they're maggots.
Yeah, but at a certain point, you let it slide off your, you roll with what the negativity, and you say, okay, these people obviously don't know what they're talking about, which is, I'm sorry.
Obviously have issues.
I don't want to sound like a boxing elitist.
Mental.
I don't want to sound like a boxing elitist, but when you can clearly see, when a guy tells you, oh, Matias is going to be fighting this Saturday, I didn't know. It's like, that's the big fight on Saturday. Like, how do you not know? Which means they're not even paying attention to anything outside of, like, for example, there were people after Wilder lost, after Wilder won last Saturday, and they thought Bucho and me we picked Ortiz. They didn't watch our prediction video, because that's what they do. They watch one video and then they comment off of that. And one guy was making it about...
they don't even watch it. They read the titles.
Exactly.
They read the titles and make a judgment from that.
Exactly. Or they watch 5 seconds. But anyway, this guy's talking about race, and I'm thinking... Anyway, I don't want to get into the fucking whole race thing, but you know that's what it is. It's people only root for the guy that looks like them. And so with those people, there's not much to discuss about boxing, because they don't know anything about outside of the group that they're watching. But anyway, let's keep it about positivity here and all the big fights that there are. Lomachenko, I'm happy we have a guy like Lomachenko. And here's the other thing. Terence Crawford, I think, 135-pound version of Terence Crawford, the one that beat Gamboa, he would have but he would have given Lomachenko a hell of a fight. To me, that's a 50-50 fight. I know you guys disagree with that, but let's put it into context here. The same thing I said about Lomachenko, the way Crawford is beating guys, they can't win rounds off of him. And I know, Precise, you're going to bring up the Postal fight, but again, that's one of those fights where the consensus is that Crawford won most every round. So that would have been a good fight, but right now, because it goes back to Mikey Garcia, who just fought last night, is the big fight for Lomachenko Garcia, or once he beats Linares, what's the other big fight out there? Like, what's the ceiling? What's the goal for Lomachenko here in terms of big fights?
Pacquiao.
Okay, so let's go to Pacquiao then. What's his situation? Because I heard some people were saying that he's going to fight Matias now. What's going on here?
I don't know, but it sounds like... No,
I've heard he's left top rank. Well, there's news coming out today that he's left Top Rank, so I don't know if that's true.
Nah, I don't think so.
Well, let me check that out. Pucho, you take over for a couple of minutes. Let me do some research here, right?
There are rumors that he's a free agent, and we don't know what his contract is basically, and a lot of people are speculating. He might be, but who knows? It might go back to Pacquiao's guarantee. There might be some kind of clause where if Bob Arum can't get Pacquiao certain kind of money, that allows Pacquiao to go look for that kind of money elsewhere. But I'm just speculating. We have no idea what sort of contract.
Bob's turned his back. Bob's turned his back on him, bro.
Oh yeah,
Bob tried to stick him on a. Bob tried to stick Manny Pacquiao on a Terence Crawford undercard.
because he's too afraid. He's too afraid. He wants to build Crawford off of Pacquiao. That's been obvious, but he's too afraid to put Crawford in with the old Pacquiao. So they had to rob that belt from Pacquiao and give it to Crawford. And he was still thinking that he's going to build Crawford using Pacquiao without putting them in the ring together. And maybe eventually
with the Jeff Horn thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe eventually they'll put them in the ring together, or they will offer Pacquiao that fight when he's, on one leg and, fucking done, basically.
Who controls the welterweight division? Like, which promoter? Which promoter controls the welterweight division?
You've got to say it. You've got to say it. We've got.
No, sorry. I think I misspoke here. I said which? Al Heyman. Yeah, Showtime. They have all the welterweights. So now Bob Arum is in a conundrum here because what the hell is he gonna do with Crawford? I mean, he has the Jeff Horn fight, and after that, it has to be the Pacquiao fight.
He's got Jesse. Is Jesse Vargas still with him?
Yeah.
No.
No. That's true. No.
But
I think
Al Heyman fighters, they could fight with under any promoter they want. Al Heyman fighters, they could fight.
Yes.
Al Heyman's not going to stop them.
Technically, that depends which fighters.
Like months ago.
No, but it's only the B fighters that he. Yeah, I don't know. Charles Martin
I think Heyman's took the leash off a lot of his fighters. Now that project of his has gone to shit.
That's true.
And it's just a dream now.
Yeah, there's not enough dates. There's not enough dates, so he has to let them go.
All these other promoters, when they...
Have you noticed a lot of Heyman fighters are talking about going to the UK, fighting UK fighters a lot. The Charlos are doing it.
Because everyone's
doing it. Everyone wants to come to the UK. Because they know there's a good money there. Now Heyman's told them, go to the UK if you want big money.
When Golden Boy and Bob Arum took Al Heyman to court, right? They got to see the contracts. They got to see how Al Heyman operates. They basically saw everything. Now, why would they be offering Al Heyman fighters fights if they saw the paperwork and they know that these guys can't fight outside of the PBC? Why would they do that? So they saw what's going on. They know what the contracts are, and that's why Bob Arum's been offering fights for Bronner, Danny Garcia. They haven't been taking them because they're cherry picking pussies, and Al's been, off telling them, don't go fight this guy. I'll pay you more, right? But that money's running out, so now they're looking for big money fights elsewhere. Like Spence got $3 million to fight fucking, and that's what I heard. I don't know if it's true, to fight Peterson, which was retarded. Instead of going to fight Miguel Cotto, right? He had to basically pay him off not to go fight for a Golden Boy because he was going to do it probably. I mean, if you're Spence, wouldn't you fight Cotto? Why wouldn't you fight Cotto?
Oh, that fight would have happened for sure.
You know what I mean? If I was Spence, I would have taken that fight in a heartbeat.
But I think there's certain PBC fighters that Al Heyman won't let them fight in another network.
Yeah,
like
but
he's elite boxers.
But he can't.
Al Heyman tried to do the Dana White. He tried to do a Dana White and sort of like separate organisations. You know, like the Pride in UFC used to be separating. You weren't getting the best fighting the best, and he tried to separate out of his own organisation, sort of thing, and it backfired on him. Gladly,
he can't we would have got physically or legally prevent them.
No, I understand, but he's gonna cough up a lot of money for them, maybe.
That money's gonna run out sooner or later.
Yeah, but before he could buy any purse bid he wanted before. Now he can't.
Right.
Isn't that what happened with Wilder and Povetkin though? He couldn't compete
Yeah,
with
he
the
lost
Russians.
the first bit. No,
Oh
he
yeah.
couldn't.
Even Rock Nation. When you look at some of the fighters they've signed, their careers have gone nowhere. I mean, Ward was I mean, they were losing money on Ward. You know they were. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
They, they're quite quiet at the moment, Rock Nation. Do you know why? Because they know there's no money in it. Rigondeaux wanted $1 million to fight some bum in a bingo hall. You're not going to make money.
It's very difficult to make it into boxing. Like all these promotional companies that failed. I mean, just look at them, man. You had like
You've got to
50
be on.
Cent.
You've got to be on. You've got to be on a pay per view. You've got to have a pay per view fight to make money.
Well,
It
first
has
of
to be
all, you need to know
pay-per-view.
the sport. I mean, I don't know what the fuck Rock Nation were thinking. I mean, they got Cotto fine, but he was at the end of his career, right? Then they get Ward. How much money are you gonna make out of that fucker? And then they get Rigondeaux also. Like, are you serious, man? Do
They
you
got
really
all the
think
They
you're
were
gonna make
pussies.
paid.
money at it?
They got all the pussies, man.
Yeah,
Cherry picking
Yes.
pussies.
They got all the leftovers and nobody wanted. Fuck.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Was Lara with them as well?
No.
Was it Lara? No, I know they've got someone
No, no.
else as well who's another back foot fighter who's not selling tickets. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to make money in boxing, you do not go and hire Andre Ward and Guillermo Rigondeaux.
No. Especially Rigondeaux.
Yeah, Andre
Andre
needed.
Ward made him
No,
no
he
money
needed the
at all.
Russian to become relevant. It is what it is, and that's pathetic, man. In your own goddamn country, you need a fucking Russian to become like talked about.
They sold it as the Drago Rocky story, didn't they?
Yeah, that was a whole
So
ritual, man. That that whole those two fights that were like Illuminati rituals, man. I'm telling you that.
Yeah.
Seriously,
I mean,
what do you mean?
how to watch a man?
it
How
was
to
the
watch a man get
emasculation.
complete?
It was the emasculation of like a traditional male figure, by a metrosexual, basically. That's what it was on the biggest stage possible. That's what that
Hmm.
was. Because Kovalyev was always talking about
What,
like
mate?
women should be in the kitchen and how the women shouldn't be boxing, and he was a very traditional, like stereotypical male, right? Like a machismo guy. That's a little bit
Hmm.
that's considered by the libtards is considered sexist when he's just biologically fucking where his biology basically dictates um, his uh, his social views and his social standing, and that's not what they want for us right now. They want to blend genders, and they want to what the agenda is, and I don't have to explain it to you. And so they had to castrate the the arch. No, literally, I'm not joking. Like literally, they had to castrate that archetypal manly
Hmm.
man figure. You know what I mean? And replace him with a fucking metrosexual that goes shoe shopping with his wife.
Do you think they also do that
I
with
mean,
black people?
they encourage women to chuck the man out of the household as well. So the women become the men of the household. So women are bringing up sons. And sorry,
Hmm.
women are great. I love my mother more than I'll ever love my dad. Women are great, but they can't bring you up to be a man. Only a man
Absolutely.
can do that. And I think that's why, if you've been brought up with a mum, they even have their isms and they pull the same cringy faces and gestures with their hands, very feminine like. And you get that with a lot of guys that have been brought up by their mothers.
True.
Especially
True.
the LDBC is a prime example of that.
Well,
Uh,
I was gonna ask earlier because Precise was talking about the emasculation of Koval as some sort of ritual. There's a lot of videos out there, very popular videos on YouTube, that they do the same thing to black people when it comes to, for example, rappers. You look at the hip hop community, compare it to what it was in the 90s, and you look at it now, it's a circus.
Hmm.
It
I
is
can.
a circus. Guys wearing skirts. And I remember when I had watched that episode of the Boondocks. Remember, Bucho, that episode of the Boondocks where there was the gay rapper and he comes up with his own line of clothing and it's skirts and all that. I thought, okay, that's they're satiring the hip hop. No, that's actually happening. And
behind the scenes, man.
And you look at the black comedians, the major black comedians of every generation, of Eddie Murphy, and then Martin Short, and not Martin Short. What's his name? Martin, the guy from Bad Boys.
Lawrence.
Martin Lawrence. Yes, thanks, Martin Lawrence. And now, what's his name? Kevin, the little guy who's a boxing fan. Kevin Hart. They always put him dressed as women. They're always showing.
Yeah.
And remember, there's that famous video from Dave Chappelle on Inside the Actor's Studio, and he was filming some movie, and they wanted to force him to wear a dress, and he stood his ground, and he said, "Nope, I'm not wearing that dress." And everybody, from the director to the costume designer, they were pressuring him to wear it, and he's like, "Why?" And so maybe Precise is onto something here. Maybe there is something beyond just, hey, it's good for a laugh. No, maybe they're trying to. And again, there's, sorry to go on a rant here, but
the
just
guy
real
who played
quick.
James Bond, the British guy. What's his name? The actor, the last James Bond guy.
Oh, Daniel Craig.
Didn't he dress him as a woman or something?
Yeah, for a commercial, I think.
Why? Because he's the male. James Bond is like the
alpha male,
the hallmark of like masculinity. Sometimes that's what men want to be, right? And no, he dresses. He's like a woman now, dressed as a woman.
I mean,
can you guys fun of the whole thing?
Can you guys imagine Sean Connery dressed as a woman?
I used to really like the Wayne brothers. I used to think they were really funny until they did White Girls.
I
lost total respect for them. That bollocks. It was the cringiest shit I'd ever watched in my life. I hated every minute of it. And it wasn't because they were white, who pretended to be white girls. Just any girl, man. I just lost respect for him, man.
Yeah, there's something bizarre about men. And again, I didn't want to go into a rant, but first of all, can you imagine Sean Connery dressed as a woman? I mean, can you even convey that thought? I mean, no, it's impossible. You can't even conceive that thought, I should say. And again, just because I surf the internet, right? I'm surfing YouTube like everybody else does. And a couple of years ago, and there's a trending video, which of course, when a video is trending on the front page of YouTube, it's not going to be a video from somebody that's going against the narrative. And one of the recommended videos was, there's a show, I think it's on Spike TV or one of those American channels, and it's called Lipstick Battle or something like that, which is essentially, not lipstick, lip sync battle, I should say. And it's essentially people lip syncing to music, celebrities lip syncing to music. And there was a guy there from G.I. Joe, what's his name? The guy from the 21st Street remake. Somebody help me out here. What's his name? He was in the G.I. Joe movies. He was in the movie about the wrestler who gets financed by a billionaire who's crazy.
The fuck?
Anyway, that guy, he's a pretty masculine looking guy. I see that episode of on YouTube of Lip Sync Battle. He's dressed like a woman. Like a complete tranny. Like a tranny that you would see walking the streets of Brooklyn at 12 in the morning. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? So this is, yes, Channing Tatum. Michael Stott. Thanks, Michael. Channing Tatum. And Dwayne Johnson. Did Dwayne Johnson also get dressed as a girl at some point? Anybody?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Anybody in the chat?
Listen, if they try to go against boxing, it's a fucking uprising.
Now, I will say this. It's a bit of
Who knows, man? They wanted to take out ring card girls.
That's true.
So what's next after? Like,
well, let's put it into context.
It's too manly for them. They're gonna try to go after boxing.
Staying away from boxing. Remember when 4 years ago, during the World Cup in Brazil, and for anybody that doesn't know, the Mexican fans, we like to scream "puto," which means bitch, or I mean, actually, it means more of like faggot in Spanish. But
it could be used as that, though.
Yeah, it could be used as interchangeable, but you can use it for to call somebody a homo. Now, in Mexico, as in most Latin American countries, it's still pretty conservative countries, and so you're allowed to say that for the most part. It doesn't necessarily mean, it's not a homophobic term, it just means a wimp. It's usually used for that. And so people scream that in the stands during the football matches. Well, then, lo and behold, finally some group came out during the last World Cup and started complaining about it. And they complained to FIFA, and then FIFA said, okay, we'll try to put a lid on it. And it's only now that it's starting to take effect. But I mean, these guys want to get their tentacles in every country. Whether it's an Arab country, whether it's a Latin American country, the Muslim countries not so much, but it's really, it seems like they like what's going on in the Muslim countries. But Latin
Well, they bow
America,
down to them because their money. I mean, they have these Gulf states with tons of money and oil. They let them do whatever they want. But
but like
other
I've said,
countries, nah, man.
but like I've said, leave boxing alone. Do whatever you want to the rest of the country. You know what I mean? Yeah, you want to bankrupt the country, you want to depopulate the world, whatever. But just leave boxing alone. That's all I ask. It's not so much, right?
That's all we have.
Exactly. I'm a junkie.
That's all that's left.
Let's see what people are saying in the chat room. Okay, so people figured out the name of the guy I was trying to bring up. Reversely says, anyone catch the last episode of RuPaul's Drag Race? I don't know what I know RuPaul's a transvestite, right? But I don't know what Drag Race is. Koran Brett says, you're slipping, bro. Yeah, I'm forgetting all the names today. Fuck. Michael Stott says, The Rock played a homosexual. Oh yeah, he played a homosexual in a movie about 12 years ago, I believe. Nicola Ferrari says, Hollyweird is based on... Yeah, his comment is gonna get a shut down. Anybody, you can all read what he's saying. But I mean, listen, we're getting a little bit into conspiracy theories here. Andrew Ward, he does want to come back. And I will say this precise. That whole theory about some sort of a sacrifice, about Kovalev being sacrificed, that's a bit of a stretch. Because I don't really know if they're willing to spend that time to do all that in boxing. You know what I mean? I mean, it's one thing if they want to do it in a big event somewhere else, but boxing?
Who's watching boxing, though?
Yeah, and who knows?
Who's the main audience? Who's the main audience?
Oh, okay, I get what
You just want to take a huge dump on our faces, man.
Well, if it's a woman taking a dump in my face, I don't mind. But, Vincent Marduk
I mean,
says...
you had that like the co-main event where the fight was stopped on the foul, and then the main event gets stopped on the foul.
Oh yeah.
And then you had like during the first fight, the co-main event was Maurice Hooker losing every single round to, was it Darleis Perez? Every single round, and then winning, or it was called a draw, I believe. And then you had the main event was also a major travesty, a robbery. So, you know, it's just a little too convenient for me, man. Like it's kind of like predictive programming and everything they said before the fight, how the manly Clarissa Shields attacked Kovalev, and it was just like, I don't know, man.
I mean, look, it's a bit of
weird.
It is
It's
weird.
just weird.
It is weird, but I will say, in order
And
for us
then-
not to get shut down,
And
that
then
it's borderline.
one last thing, Jay-Z. Jay-Z.
Oh yeah. Fuck, I forgot about that.
But that guy's a wannabe. He's a wannabe elitist. You know what I mean? I mean, yes, he's got tons of money, but when you compare him to the people that have the most money in the world, this guy's a nobody, really.
Yeah, but he has a lot of influence, though.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the conspiracy about Beyonce and Jay-Z?
Oh yeah.
Which one?
Have you ever seen that about Beyonce and Jay-Z where they reckon that baby, you know, she never gave birth to that baby.
Ah, right.
They had a surrogate mother brought in. That's why that's why they hired the whole top floor that night when she was supposedly giving birth. There's actually pictures on YouTube, videos on YouTube where she's on chat shows and she's gone to sit down and her stomach inflated, sort of thing. and so she had a fake thing on. But you need to look into it because that's another Illuminati conspiracy shit that you could be interested in, because I know Jay-Z and Beyonce are not all what they make out to be.
Yeah, but I mean, if anything, I think they're people that are being told that they're part of the club, but essentially they're cannon fodder. In other words, if something goes wrong, they're the first ones to get thrown under the bus. But that's what you said about her faking her pregnancy. That's just part of the entertainment industry. That's what it is. It's an illusion. It's a mirage. It's let's present ourselves and the whole industry as something wholesome. It's something that it's not really. I mean, look at I did catch a bit of the Oscars last week. I think it was last week, yes. And my goodness, they love to talk about gun control and all that. But do they love having their own private security? They go to these private security firms with a bunch of mercenaries and former Spec Ops guys, and they're walking around with machine guns and scanning for bombs. But hey, take away everyone's guns except our private security's guns. So listen, you can't have it both ways. And that's anybody that's been paying attention to what Hollywood is and the entertainment industry. It is what it is. It's no big secret, really. It's only the people that read the tabloids and who's having this, whose baby, and who's going out with who. that's the first line that they look at, but they don't seem to understand what it's cesspool.
It's true though, and another funny thing about it is, I think they're encouraging this sick behaviour we're seeing from Hollywood and the music industry, where the women are acting like sluts, men are acting like complete fucking idiots and thugs, where it's all about how much Bentleys you got, and there's just no music no more. I mean, Miley Cyrus is a prime example of that. Now, she went from a complete slut that used to just she'd make my skin crawl, and now she's turned into someone from the Waltons, but she can't sell any records now. Now she's turned into a normal girl. She can't sell. They've like froze her out of the industry. So you could have a point, man.
There seems to be they take these young girls, and by the time they're 25 or a little older, they're completely done. They look like they've been through a whole couple of years of treatment of meth, or angel dust. They look finished. And some people say, well, that's what happens when you're in Hollywood. It's the fast life, and if you don't watch out, you get caught in the world of drugs. But then there's other people that say that a lot of these guys on top, they love to take something that's wholesome and then just see how far they can turn it up into the opposite and physically ruin these girls. Now, I don't know. That's just what people are saying. Again, I love to watch these YouTube videos on obviously on the internet. I don't know how real most of these things are. There's also a lot of exaggeration in those videos. I mean, these people, they put on this ominous music and this dark narration, and they show you a clip, and then nothing happens in the clip, but it's just in the context they present it, they make it seem like something more sinister. But suffice to say that, the Hollywood industry, if you want to go in the entertainment industry, you got to know what you're getting into and try to stay away from the core of it as much as possible. But when it comes to those conspiracy theories as well, Butcher, have you heard, or you guys too, about there's this, because again, you gotta watch out with these YouTube videos. There's this guy that makes videos about how Victoria's Secret models are all a bunch of men, how they were all transsexuals. And I said, okay, it makes sense, because most of these girls, they're pretty tall, and they have very big hands, long fingers, and that's a bit of a red flag for me. But then I keep watching his videos, and he says, this girl's a man, this girl's a man, this girl's a man, everybody's a man. It seems like he's trying to say every woman you see in the entertainment it's a man.
Let's be real. Fucking Bruce Jenner got won Woman of the Year.
Well, you know the joke.
What sort of society are we where Caitlyn Jenner, or Bruce, whatever you want to call him, wins Women of the Year?
Right.
A man beat a woman.
Yeah, that was the joke.
I know what you mean, BDA. Like, people take it way overboard. There is a lot of truth to what they say, but some of these people are just androgynous. They might be women. They are women by birth, but they're kind of manly-looking women. They're like the fringes, you know what I mean? And these people kind of discredit themselves by saying that everyone's a tranny, which isn't true, but a lot of them are, and that's kind of obvious.
I'll tell you one thing. Unacceptable what the Americans are doing, where they're having with the toilets sort of thing, where they're letting fucking grown-ass men who wear a skirt go and share the same toilet as little girls and things like that. I mean, that's fucking wrong, man. They better not bring that over here.
Oh, they're gonna try it. They're gonna try it in England at some point, man. I mean, come on.
But they love androgynous shit. Like, I don't know, they worship that. They don't want any genders for some reason. And just look at the Statue of Liberty. Like, what is that, a woman or a guy? So there's something in that androgynous stuff.
Well, Precise said it a couple of weeks ago, that when we're talking about transhumanism, he said this all goes way back in history, and it's the same thing with transgenders people. I mean, if you look at certain ancient deities, ancient gods, they were androgynous, and so there's something there. There's something that goes way back, and maybe the people at the top who are controlling everything, who control the entertainment industry and the educational system, they're trying to forge society to look like the image of what they believe in. I don't know. By the way, we got Reverse Lee on the line. Reverse is on the Hangout.
Reverse Lee. Reverse Lee. Let's get it on.
By the way, Butcher, you have to find a clip of something Reverse Lee has said.
Yeah, I have to, yeah.
He said a lot of funny things since he's been here in the Hangouts. Reverse, thank you for joining us. Listen, we were sort of segueing from boxing a little bit into social issues, but I want to get your quick thoughts. Did you catch the fights last night?
I caught, I think, the first half of the Valdez versus Quigg fight, and this morning I saw the Garcia versus Lipinets fight.
Okay, so you didn't. So did you? So you didn't see the Quigg fight then, in its entirety?
No, I did. I did also see the Relikh versus Barthelemy fight.
Okay, well let's start with that. Were you impressed with Relikh's work rate and how he was able to push Barthelemy?
Not really. I think it was for the most part what Barthelemy wasn't doing.
Oh, okay. So let me. Well, I'm gonna ask you, and I'm gonna ask Precise, because I didn't get your thoughts on Barthelemy Relikh. Oh, no, actually, you didn't watch the fight, did you? Precise. All right. Yeah. Okay, I thought he was there, but okay. So reverse. So you weren't. You thought that it was more of what Barthelemy didn't do. So you thought he could have stepped it up and beaten Relikh.
I don't know about that, but I think he could have kept it closer.
I just thought he got overwhelmed, man. I mean, Relikh was pushing that pace. It was actually quite incredible to watch. I love it when a guy throws 100 punches per round. Oh, Precise, are you there?
Yeah, I did not watch that fight, but you know, we were talking a little bit about Cubans and what's going on with them, and I was commenting in the chat at the time, and to me, and this is most endemic when it comes to the heavyweights, it's most apparent because they just get out of shape, but I just don't think, I think they come to the Western world from relative poverty in Cuba, and they just lose their shit, man. And they're not in the gym like they should be, and everyone's just like blowing them and telling them how amazing they are, and they think they could, I honestly think they could just step in the ring with like a shitty training camp and they'll beat everybody. Their heads are too big and not in the game as much as they should be, because the talent is definitely there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good theory, man. I mean, it's interesting to see them having all this talent and they can't make it in the pro ranks. I mean they can make it, but they're not at the top of the top 5.5 pound fighters. I mean, it's just bizarre. Okay, so reverse.
But when you look at,
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
You look at somebody like Barrera, who's not as talented as the average Cuban that we have in the game today, but you know he works hard. I mean, the guy's a cruiserweight making light heavyweight, right? Like, he really dedicates himself and he works hard. And you have to say he might be the best Cuban we have right now. Even though he took 2 losses, he very well could be the best Cuban out there we have as far as who he actually did beat.
Yeah, that's not an unbelievable thing to say. That actually makes sense, especially how he was able to compete against Bivol. It's not like he got completely ran over until the end. Reverse.
And he.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. No. I'll wait till.
Okay, well, just to get reverse thoughts on the Mikey Garcia fight, I know you were expecting the result, but you said that you thought it was closer than it actually seemed. Actually, you said Lipinets. You thought Lipinets schooled Garcia. Is that what you said?
I gave Mikey Garcia like 4 rounds.
Whoa. Now, were you watching the fight upside down and in low definition, or?
No.
All right. But what did you think? Did you think it was the body shots and the fact that he was coming forward that...
I mean, Garcia, for large portions of the fight, he wasn't landing much of anything. And he was doing basically nothing as far as ring generalship. There'd be large portions where he actually would start like getting beaten on when he would get up against the ropes. And he'd put the high guard on, and then Lipinets would start slamming him with straight punches to the face and the body. And then sometimes when he would exchange, Lipinets would get the better of the exchanges by smacking Mikey in the face with hooks. And there was actually a certain part where I was looking at Mikey's body, and I noticed there was like blood around his midsection.
Yes.
And I was thinking to myself, like, okay, well, there wasn't an accidental headbutt, so where did that come from? And then I look at Mikey's nose, or his face, and I see that his nose is bleeding from the jabs that Lipinets keeps landing on his face.
Yeah, that was he was bleeding pretty early on in the fight, right? So he got caught with something there. Now, Okay, so now where does, because we talked about this before, where does Mikey Garcia go from here? Because it seems like his heart is not 100% into boxing. He loves to call people out, but he's with the PBC, so what are the chances he takes on Lomachenko or a guy like Terence Crawford?
I'm
Or
not
even
sure. It
Linares?
depends on. I don't know.
Now, do you think Mikey Garcia would give Lomachenko a tough fight, or do you think Lomachenko
No.
just box a circle? Okay.
I think Lomachenko beats him easily.
Now, is it because you think Lomachenko is that good, or because Garcia is overrated?
Both.
Both. Okay. Now,
I
I don't
mean,
know.
what is the skill set of Mikey Garcia?
Well, he controls the distance pretty well. He's got heavy hands, good jab.
I want to
Pretty good.
jump in on this because Reverse Lee asked the right question. Look, when you look at Mikey Garcia, you look at his athleticism, his technique, how he goes about his business, and then you look at someone like Dimitri Bivol, who's way bigger. They kind of fight in a similar manner. They're not carbon copies of one another, but they're both right there. However, Bivol is faster, is lighter on his feet. He throws more punches, better combination puncher, just better in every area. And he's what, 35 pounds bigger? So if you're
Less
telling me Mikey
professional fights
Garcia,
as well.
yeah, if you're telling me Mikey Garcia is pound for pound, how do you rate Bivol? And I know this is just the eye test, and he has a lot to prove. You know what I mean? But the guy's never been knocked down. He seems to take a good punch. We've seen Mikey down. We've seen Mikey hurt. We've seen Mikey quit. Like, the guy's just so overrated. It's sickening.
I mean, really, all he's just like the standard 1-2, 1-1-2, 1-3, 1-1-3. I
Now,
mean,
He's flat-footed as fuck.
very much. In his midsection, it was like so fluffy in that
Yeah,
ring.
flabby. Yeah, Stu mentioned that the guy, it makes us wonder whether he's even training properly. And again, it brings us to the question of whether his heart is into boxing. Now, I will agree. I'll disagree about the flat-footedness. I think he can move when he wants to, but I will agree about his pound-for-pound standing. I mean, look at this. Ring Magazine has him listed as number 5 pound-for-pound, and I gotta wonder what exactly he has done to warrant that, because his best run was 2 years ago, 3-4 years ago, before he went on his hiatus. And yes, he has fought. He beat Broner, and what's his name again? Sladikanin, and now he's been Lipinets. Yeah, that guy. But that doesn't warrant a number 5 pound-for-pound. I would even put Errol Spence above him.
I would too.
Canelo
I
Alvarez
don't
is
think
number
Spence is
4.
pound for pound either.
Cis Raquel just knocked out Gonzalez, and he just beat Estrada. Come on, he's got to be higher than Mikey Garcia.
Well, that's just another example of American bias.
I can't argue that, man. I cannot argue that. I mean, I cannot argue against that, I should say. Butcher, what do you think about all that?
About the pound-for-pound standing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. Mikey Garcia should not be number 5 pound-for-pound. Maybe not even
Yeah,
the
I
top
think
10.
they're still living in like 4 or 5 years ago when Mikey was at featherweight and was knocking everybody out.
Exactly. But anyway, suffice to say...
I woke up this morning and I'm seeing headlines like Mikey Garcia dominates Lipinets and makes history in boxing. Then I watched the fight and it's nothing like that. It's him getting backed up constantly, missing his jabs, missing his shots, getting tapped to the body, getting hooked in the face. I mean, it's basically like the same thing when people were saying Kondo beat Lipinets.
But Mikey Garcia was a huge favorite in this fight, I'm assuming, right?
Right.
So what's
10
the
to 1 or
surprise here?
something.
So what's the surprise here?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, he won! Like, we weren't expecting that to happen, right?
And I thought he didn't even win.
Yeah, that's surprising
No,
to me.
I gotta watch that fight again because a lot of people are saying this, or that.
Yeah,
I mean, I thought it was very close.
Yeah, Nordic Warrior said the same stuff I was thinking. He said that it was a clear win for Lipinets, and Mikey Garcia was too slow, and he couldn't get the timing down.
Well, what did you watch a Showtime feed, and what did the commentators say?
No, I watched it on Daily Motion, and it was just Russian commentary.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I was watching
I heard the commentary was atrocious.
Oof.
Yeah, it was. He was like, Lipinets was getting under that right hand 90% of the time, and they were saying, "Great right hand by Mikey." You know.
Yeah, that's the Showtime. Well, Showtime, at least they're not as bad as HBO, but Paulie Malignaggi can get some... He's got some weird opinions every once in a while. That guy, and he's biased too. I mean, he's being called out of being biased against Manny Pacquiao. I don't know what happened between him and Pacquiao. Something... Oh,
Did Pacquiao like beat him up in the gym?
Maybe. It would appear that way.
I think I remember seeing something like Freddie Roach said if Paulie Malignaggi comes to this gym, it's gonna have to get physical.
Mm-hmm. Oh, did he say that?
I heard something like that.
Okay. Well, then it would make sense, or maybe it's because Malignaggi's tight with Mayweather, and he wanted to sort of appease.
Paulie Malignaggi, right? I've watched this guy basically lose his mind. I used to really respect this guy's opinion. I think he's a very talented commentator, but he's come across as a right piece of shit lately. He riles me up, and I think before he was straight down the middle, but now I don't think he is. I mean, he couldn't be further up Floyd Mayweather's ass if he tried.
Yeah, like I said, I think
what is Paulie Malignaggi's major commentary line?
I don't know.
He's got a hold, guys. He's got a hold.
Catch and shoot.
Yeah, that too. He's got a hold. He's got a hold.
He's one-dimensional. You know who I really enjoyed commentating last night? And I only saw him commentating one of the undercard fights. Reed and Balsack, or whatever the guy's name was. Bomac, Crawford's trainer. I was really impressed by his boxing knowledge. Like, I don't know. I never thought much of these guys because they've never brought anybody up. But I was listening to Bomac, and he was biased to the Black American guy, whatever. But the things he was saying were right on point. And I was, and that whole, Christina Poncha, Bomac, and whoever that third guy was, I don't think I've heard a better commentating team in a decade. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, they need to get some fresh blood in there. Another guy that's pretty good is Kevin Kelly. And by the way, we have Corruption in Boxing in the house. He hasn't been here in the last couple of episodes.
I'm very happy I placed a large bet as well, just to prove that word is bond. So who's standing tall now, you little motherfuckers?
All right, there we go. Corruption. Thank you for joining us. Did you manage to catch the fights last night?
Yeah, I saw the Kirill Relikh fight, but I'm still catching up with some of the other fights. A little bit of the Scott Quigg fight.
Okay, so let's jump into and reverse. You can jump in there too, because I'm not done with your outlook on these fights yet. But of the Quigg fight, the Quigg Valdez fight, what did you guys make of him?
He couldn't he couldn't box his way. From what I saw, I didn't see the entire fight. But he was just trying to go in and catch Valdez with the power shots, and he did a couple times.
Corruption, I know you haven't finished watching the fight, but do you agree with Reverse? Do you think he wasn't setting up his punches properly?
Yeah, the main difference in the fight was Quigg didn't really have the hand speed, or he didn't have the foot speed to deal with Valdez, who, to be fair, he tried to box a little bit as what he did early on in his career, and what he did when he was in the amateurs, where he tried to use a little bit more lateral movement as opposed to just standing in the middle of the ring and trying to knock your head off. Quigg, unfortunately, he's talking about something that Precise, I think, mentioned in the show, whether the rumors of his broken foot or his metatarsal were true. And yes, he did break his third metatarsal, and he's saying it isn't an excuse, whatever else, but it definitely looked like it affected his mobility, because he was less fluid than what I've seen in. I mean, I've only seen like 6-7 rounds, but he's not able to pivot as much. So I can see it's definitely
I saw that. I definitely saw that too.
Yeah,
I saw that too, bro. Yeah.
But he's got to. I tell you one thing about Quigg is that once in the second half of the fight, he definitely starts turning it on, and he's got a tremendous chin because in the early stages, Valdez is hitting him with pretty much everything. Jab, picking up the jab, the left hand to the body, the left hook up top. Quigg has got a reasonably good defense, but some of the punches are getting in behind the elbow. You can see, but he's got a fair bit of resistance. And what I heard, he broke Valdez's jaw as well. So, I did see an interview where he wasn't lambasting the decision. He was saying, fair enough. Valdez may have been marginally the better fighter, but he said something about he didn't agree with the scorecards in its entirety as to what the margins of victory were for Oscar, but he didn't necessarily berate the decision. So if he's accepted it, then fair enough.
Yeah, the decision, some of the scorecards were, I think, 117, 111, and 118, 110, something like that, which, were pretty wide. I actually thought it was a very competitive fight. Even then, I was watching I think it was Sky Sports feed, and Matthew Macklin had Valdez significantly ahead. Reverse.
Me too, I did. Quigg gave around too many early rounds. He was 3 or 4 down, really, before he got started. So the scorecards weren't far off, to be honest with you, and I'm a Brit, so...
Okay, well, there you go. So some people do see that decision being fair. I mean, those scorecards being on point. Reverse, where do you see Valdez going from here? And who can he beat at 126 and who can't he beat?
I think he should shoot for a unification fight.
Against... well, first of all, I didn't even know who has which title. Are you aware? Can you inform?
Lee Selby, IBF, Gary Russell, WBC, and Leo Santa Cruz, WBA.
Lee Selby is out of the equation. He's got a big money fight, the first of his career, with Josh Warrington at Leeds Outdoor Stadium. So that's not going to be him. But to me, it doesn't matter. I think Jorge Lara cleans up all of them at 126.
You think Jorge Lara beats all of them at 126?
Yeah, he beats all of them, no question.
Guys, what do you think about that?
I'm not sure about that one. That's a very strong division. This is not the 140 division we're talking about here. This is a very, very strong division. Lee Selby is a handful for anyone. Talk of the devil, who's just very, very tough fight to beat. Very slick, very clever. Good on his foot. He can fight. He's got a couple of different ways of fighting. He's not just one-dimensional. Very, very hard man to beat. You've got Russell Jr. on his day. It's explosive. Look what he did to Gonzalez. This was Gonzalez. It just stopped Abnamaris. And Russell Jr. went through him like a doorway. Then you've got Carl Frampton, who's a fight for anyone. Santa Cruz. I mean, to say this guy is going to dominate this division. I mean, he could do. I'm not saying he won't, but let's not get carried away. Let's see him fight a big fight, and then we'll take it from there.
Lee Selby struggled with a Fernando Montiel, a veteran. Jorge Lara destroyed him in one round.
He won the fight comfortably. It doesn't matter. And like I said, sometimes fighters don't get up for them sort of fights. We've seen it hundreds of times where fighters have not... Billy Joe Saunders struggled with some bum that no one knew. It was a terrible, horrible performance. But look how he come back against David Lemieux. It depends what camp you have. If you're frightened of someone, your opponent, you know it's going to be a tough fight. You'll train hard and you'll be better on the night. If you're just taking it as an easy win, then you will slip up sometimes. But I think styles make fights as well. I don't think you can judge a fighter on one performance.
Well, I will say it can go both ways, because he mentioned corruption in boxing, mentioned Jorge Lara, and I mentioned earlier the guy you see there at number 9 at 126, Jesus Rojas, 26-1 with 19 knockouts. This guy is heavy-handed. This guy can punch. He can walk forward and take punishment. And he lost. Did he lose to Lara, or was it a no contest? Because I know they stopped it because of a headbutt, but I thought he was coming on against Lara. I'll tell you, if you've never seen Jesus Rojas fight, he reminds me a little bit of Sorong Visay in that you can win the early rounds against him, but he just doesn't react the same way everybody else does to punishment. He's willing to take those shots and coming forward. So what I'm trying to get at here is that 126, man, that's a pretty loaded division. And I had forgotten about Jorge Lara, which Corruption just brought up. And he's another guy that's entertaining. Southpaw, heavy-handed as well. That's an interesting fight.
Well, he's entertaining.
Yeah, he's entertaining. That's the most important thing if you want to get some notoriety in the sport. So all that because
So
I
he's
asked
not
reverse.
Cuban, because he sounds like he might be.
Who, Jorge Lara?
He's sort of half
Yeah,
Mexican,
I'm
half Argentinian.
Half Mexican, half Argentinian. Can you
I
believe
think
that?
he has a shot, I guess.
Yes.
How dare they?
Hey man, listen, this 126-pound division, it's pretty good. And of course, Frampton is going to be taking on Donaire. Michael Stock in the chat room, he says, I'm not sure Frampton gets past Donaire. Stu and I we were talking about that earlier, and we feel that Frampton is much better than Donaire, especially the current version of Donaire. Who, come on, let's face it, Donaire doesn't jab. He has all the hand speed in the world.
Donaire's, he's definitely not at his best weight. It doesn't suit him at 126. The guys are too big for him. His style is tailor-made for most of them, and it's just going to be a very, very hard for him to beat Frampton. I'm not saying Frampton's this elite fighter, but Frampton's a world-class fighter. He's proved that. If he gets it right on the night, he can beat anybody. So I think this Donaire is a few years too old. Like I said, I think he was past it when he fought Rigondeaux. And what year was that? 213, 214?
213,
I don't know,
yeah.
man, but yeah, he was past it then. So put 5 years on and then stick him up a couple of divisions that he's clearly not got no business in. I mean, look what Walters did to him. Walters was bashing him, hurting him with shots nearly every round. I mean, it was just not durable at that weight, too old. And I think Frampton would be too fresh for him.
Well, people in the chat room are saying that Carl Frampton struggled in his last fight. What do you think about that? Do you think, because they're making it seem
It was
as if...
it was a comeback fight. Let's be real. He's been through a lot. He had to change his trainer, change his promotion team and his manager. His last fight was cancelled on the same day because his opponent slipped in the fucking shower and knocked all his teeth out. So there's a lot of reasons why he could have been poor that night. Let's see how he is against Donaire, and I'll take it from there. I'll know straight away if he's shot to pieces, because if he's struggling with Donaire, then it looks like he is on the downslide. But if he's back to his best, then he should be making decent work of Donaire.
That's a good point.
I heard an interview with Frampton, and it just doesn't sound like his head is in the game anymore.
Well, what do you mean? What did he say?
I think
He was
he's
just
still
basically
angry.
talking about, yeah, I'll fight.
I think he's still angry with
He
the
said he'll fight
McGuigans.
anybody, but the money has to be there. He's basically just trying to cash out now. He's just all about money fights. It doesn't sound like he's got that hunger anymore. He just wants to make money, and he's on the brink of retirement. That's
You got a
basically
point,
what he said.
guys.
I think he's still got-
he would have
Sorry,
basically
bro,
retired. He would have basically retired had the McGuigans not handed him that, whatever it is, £350,000 tax liability for a company, that both him and his wife used to run in the past, which they inadvertently made, Frampton a director. So if it wasn't for that obligation, I think he would have retired.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Didn't he won the third Santa Cruz fight, though?
The third? Oh, he won the
fast.
third.
It's one of the reasons why he's pissed off at the McGuigans. He was angry that they...
He's angry. He's angry with. I agree, bro. He's angry with the McGuigans, and it's probably affecting him right now. I mean, I think he's realised how much money they've took off him. This guy, he's made a lot of money, and he's probably got not a lot of it to show. And I think he's angry with them. Obviously, the third fight, he was promised a third fight in Belfast against Santa Cruz. Promised it. That's why he took the rematch. And so yeah, I think corruption is right.
Well, that's an interesting thing right there with him, and it's a shame when those type of promotional issues get into place.
Well, bottom line,
Also,
they
maybe
need to-
he's-
chance.
Yeah, somebody was going to say something.
I said, bottom line, if you just sort of accumulate all of those factors, I think Donaire has got a very good chance. But he may have to stop Frampton because he's not going to get a decision in Northern Ireland.
Well,
I
don't
wouldn't be
forget.
surprised if he knocked him out. I don't think he could beat him on the cards either way, even credibly. But I give him a serious puncher's chance, man.
Well, don't forget. Donaire has that left hook still. It's a dynamite left hook.
Yeah.
So he could land
not
it.
right hand's
Not a
not bad
126 is not. Name me someone at 126 is knocked out with that hook.
That's true. That's true. And speaking of 126, we were talking about Mikey Garcia before. Donaire seems to have that flabby midsection as well. He doesn't look like a boxer. He looks like he's been eating a lot of carbs in the past few weeks. And even at 122, he's never been the most cut guy in the world. So 126 is definitely not a weight that he should be fighting, and he should still be trying to make 122.
He's grown out of that weight, mate. He's getting an old man now in boxing terms.
Right,
And
right.
once you get a certain weight, you can't make these weights no more. You name a fighter in their 30s that goes down a weight division. I mean, Brooks
Oscar
the only
De La
one I
Hoya.
can think of doing it when he
Right.
went up to 160, but he never really went. Oh, that's a bit of a difficult one because he never was a 165. But he's the only one I can think of doing it. Fighters don't go down divisions anymore; they go up.
Plus, he doesn't have the dedication in between fights. If he's not at 92-90 football ground, he's drinking about 6 pints of Guinness.
Well, look, listen, I'm reading the comments here, and Michael Stock makes a good point. He says Frampton has a tiny reach. He's going to have to lip in against a dangerous Donaire. Yeah, he's going to have to make Donaire come to him. Now, here's an interesting.
I made that point. He's got short arms, but Frampton can fight on the inside as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And Donaire's not that great fighting on the inside. And speaking of fighting inside, Nicholas Walters, another guy that's pretty good at fighting on the inside. But again, what happened to him? When is he going to fight? Because it seems like Lomachenko took his soul, and that it seems maybe he doesn't want to fight anymore either.
Walters?
Was that?
Are you talking about Walters?
Yeah, Nicholas Walters. What's up with him? Is he going to fight or
He
is
doesn't
he...
want it now. He doesn't want it, mate. Look, let's be real. I know he was getting his ass whooped and schooled. But was there any time in that fight against Lomachenko where his life was in danger, where he was badly hurt, where, he could have carried on and took his ass whooping like a man? Like we expect. You're taking your check, taking your ass whooping like a man. But he didn't want to know, mate. He quit on the stool, and he doesn't want it anymore. Let's be real. I heard he got a lot of stick when he went back to Jamaica. The Jamaicans weren't very happy, mate. So, I don't think we're going to see Walters back to what he was.
Instead of saying that the guy has no heart, people defend him and say, oh, he had a 1-year layoff. Okay, let's say he had a 1-year layoff and that affected him somehow. You can still show a bit of fucking heart and determination.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, you're drained, you're weak or something, you didn't train properly, but you still show like some heart and you try to knock out the other guy.
Well, he's
this
officially...
guy didn't do fucking shit.
Look at last night. You had Scott Quigg with his nose plastered across his face, still carrying on fighting, swinging. You had Valdez with a broken jaw, fighting with his mouth open, blood pissing out of it, still fighting toe to toe to the 12th round. Now that's warriors, not punks that quit on their stall.
From what I'm hearing, when Walter started his training camp, he was very near 180 pounds.
Whoa. Jeez Louise, yeah, that's
and that is from over there, I heard that.
Who was weighing that? Cut out.
Who was
weighing 180 pounds?
Nicholas Walters was near 180 pounds when he started training camp for that fight.
180 pounds?
Yeah, if you've seen his pictures, he was really fat when he started training for that fight.
Damn, man. That's ridiculous weight to lose. That's Ricky Hatton weight.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's Ricky Hatton weight right there, man. Now, the thing about Walters is, okay, he doesn't seem. First of all, you said he got flack in Jamaica. What did people were criticizing him? People were throwing him under the bus. What happened there? I'm asking Stu.
Sorry, bro. Just do that again. Say that again, please.
You said people in Jamaica were giving Walters flack. Do you know exactly what they said? What happened there?
Well, I just don't think they're very happy with him. I mean, they're a proud nation, the Jamaicans, and they expect their warriors to go out on their shields. And this guy, everyone was tipping this guy to be a beast, the next fucking Mike McCallum, you know, and he was far from that, was he? He was more like Michael Obama.
Right.
Or Michelle Obama, shall I say.
Well,
I mean...
Well, that's the thing. Listen, Walters, his reason for quitting was that he said that he had been hurt the round prior to the stoppage, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he said he knew he was going to get knocked out, and he didn't want to get knocked out.
Okay, well, again, that brings up Stu's point, which is how bad do you want it? Because we saw Scott Quigg, his face busted up, his nose bent, and he was willing to go. Now, I can understand if Walters doesn't want to continue. It's his right. But here's the thing about boxing fans. They hate a quitter. And I did a podcast a long time ago, a couple of months ago, before we even did this type of hangouts. And when it comes to quitting, there's rarely anything more that boxing fans will forgive. I mean, you quit, it's over. But at the same time... Was that?
It's the worst thing you can do in boxing.
Yeah, but I mean, I understand these guys.
David Hay knew that. David Hay knew that when he fucked it, when his knee went. What do you think he carried on for? Because there would have been no way back for him if he'd have quit on his stool. Because how many times this guy pulled out of fights or
exactly.
You know, and brained his toe and everything else. He had to carry on, and that's why he's got this blue fight now. If he'd have quit on his stool that night, we'd never see David Hay in a boxing ring again.
Exactly.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to get at is, what's the line between expecting too much from a guy and wanting to see him give it his all, and understanding also that these guys are human and that we can't expect them to fucking give it all they got and lay their life on the line every time?
It depends on how bad your injury was. In the case of Nicholas Walters, he barely had any scratches or fractures. He was pretty much as clean as a whistle, except for a little bit of swelling. I can understand if you break your hand, or you break your nose, or you break your shoulder or something like that.
George Groves fought on the 12th round. He went toe to toe with Chris Eubank with a dislocated shoulder. The fact is, Walters, it was frustration because he couldn't get near. He was used to bullying people, hitting them and then falling over. He couldn't even hit Lomachenko. He was getting his ass beat. Frustration. Like I said, no serious injuries there. It was not like he was taking just real big punches. He was just getting outworked and outschooled. But it was frustration why he quit, and that's what makes it worse. If you're getting really hurt, then people can accept that. But he wasn't, was he? He was just getting schooled.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you can look at the Rigondeaux fight and other fighters as well. When if you got a long amateur career as well, if you're used to winning for so long and you're in the position where your skills are inferior to your opponent, it's a position that you've rarely found yourself in. So these boxers can't handle it. And if you look at a little bit like track and field as well, like say for example the 100 meters, there used to be a lot of world-class athletes who would pull up at 60 meters when they're behind, feigning an injury because they couldn't bear finishing the line in third or fourth place because it's either winning or they'd rather not finish the race. They couldn't deal with the disappointment or even the the embarrassment of finishing second, third, and fourth. And some fighters unfortunately have that mentality. They'd rather check out rather than suffer a humiliating sort of knockout or a stoppage defeat. It's just individual mindset.
Yeah, then again, you can redeem yourself if you continue fighting. I mean, look at Roberto Duran. People gave him a lot of criticism for quitting against Sugar Leonard. And then another modern example would be Vitaly Klitschko, who people in the media were joking.
Let's be real, you can't compare Vitaly
because Vitaly, did he really quit that fight?
No, he didn't quit. They told him he couldn't fight on. He was going mental. He wanted to carry on. The guy had about 100 stitches in his face. Yeah, with 100 stitches in his face he needed. Do you know what I mean? He had terrible wounds, some of the worst wounds I've seen in a boxing ring. And he still wanted to carry on.
Right.
So the guy he said. And Roberto Duran, he's earned the right to have that one occasion where he bottle jobs it. Look at the wars he's been in. When he's gone at 2 or 3 weights to fight people like Hagler and people like that. You can't give Duran the same sort of shit that you give Walters, because they're not in the same bracket. That's for a start.
And remember that
PDA was talking
Roberto
about
Duran,
the Chris Bird fight, where he did quit, but
Yeah.
he had a shoulder injury that he had to retire for like what, 4 years that he had to retire because of that injury. So it was serious. It must have been very serious, you know what I mean? But he did quit.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Now, what was the name of the guy who beat Tyson, the British guy, in 2004? Stu, help me out here.
Danny Williams.
Yeah, Danny Williams, thanks. Danny Williams fought, I think he actually won a fight with his shoulder dislocated. I think he was in incredible pain and he still managed to win that one. So again, it goes back to how bad do you want it. Now, on the other hand, you look at Antonio Margarito, fucking idiot, kept going against Manny Pacquiao. I mean, I shouldn't say fucking idiot because it's hard to tell when an injury is life-threatening, I mean career-threatening, but he got his orbital bone broken. Okay, was it after or before he was taking a beating? It's hard to tell. I mean, if it was as soon as the third round, I think it was in the third round where his eye started to swell up a lot. You can't really stop a big fight like that soon because of the swelling on the eye. On the other hand, now you see what happened with Margarito. He still has his eye looking weird. He looks like an alien or something. So, I mean, again, I go back.
I'll tell you what. Did anyone see the Denis Lebedev injury against Guillermo Jones?
Yeah.
you mean that picture where he's got that big hematoma over on his eye?
Just Google Denis Lebedev's face against
Guillermo Jones.
Yeah, another PED user.
Oh, Jones was on PEDs? I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
It was
he's been banned twice.
Yeah, that's why the fight was a no contest, right? I think, or.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, the rematch got called off because he got caught before the rematch with diuretic.
Yeah,
that same day, that fight got called off the same day.
And guess what happened after that? He moved up to heavyweight.
Right. Now, which injury was worse, Lebedev's hematoma there, or Hasim Rahman's against Evan? Well, first of all,
he had another skull growing out of his skull.
Yeah, let me put it up for people that might not have seen it. It's really has to be to me the Rahman one is. He looks like he's growing a cuero out of his forehead. Look at that. I don't know if people are seeing it, if it's delayed or something, but man. And the worst thing is, during the replay, you can see when it starts to form, when Holyfield headbutts him, and that thing immediately forms into a bump, and it didn't stop growing, man. Anyway, jeez. Okay, look, we're running out of time here. I wanted to bring in 68, but he's not. Just for a reminder for people out there, if you want to join us, and it's the first time joining us, I need you to contact us. We need you to contact us on Google Hangouts. Send us an instant message, not an email, an instant message. So write new conversation, write the bda@hotmail.com address. Send us a message, send us your email so we can send you the invite, and it's just for one time. You send us the email one time, after that we can send you an invite whenever you want to come in. It's that's the way it's done. It's not that difficult. It seems difficult at first if you've never used Hangouts before, or you're not used to doing the direct messages thing. But anyway, listen, we do have to go. Reverse, I did want to ask you one last thing about Valdez, though. So which fight would you rather see Valdez in? I mean, which fighter would you see him in against?
You mean between Russell and Leo Santa Cruz?
Oscar Valdez, I should say. Oscar Valdez, since he won last night.
Yeah, you mean would I rather see him fight Santa Cruz or Russell?
Yeah, whichever guy. Like, who's the guy that you think either it would be the best fight or the best fight in terms of entertainment as well?
I mean, it probably, if you really think about it, it could be either. Because Gary Russell Jr. and Leo Santa Cruz, they both have high punch counts. They'll both fight on the inside. At least I think Russell will do that. Doesn't Leo Santa Cruz have a fight supposed to be coming with Abner Mares?
Yeah, that's. Ish. Are you interested in that fight, by the way, in that rematch?
Kind of.
Hmm.
I mean, it's not really exciting, but it should be a pretty entertaining fight.
What about anybody else? Anybody else interested in the Mares rematch? Because I didn't think it was that great. To be, I mean, it was a good fight, but you know.
Nah, not really. It wasn't very competitive, was it? Well, I suppose it was, but I think Leo Santa Cruz won it handily, and I don't think anyone really was like, "Oh, let's see that again. Come on, let's see that again. Forget everyone else. I want to see that again." No one was saying that.
They're all this. Yeah, well.
And
yeah,
Mares is well past his. He's well past his best.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I think and he tires late in the fights too. I mean, he started off well against Santa Cruz. I understand what he was trying to do. He was trying to back up the pressure fighter, but he just ran out of steam, and then Santa Cruz started outboxing him, and it's okay, guys. One last question.
He's not big enough, man.
That's
he's not big enough. He's not a featherweight.
No, that's the other thing. One last question before we go and we make some final announcements. But would it be fair to say that Santa Cruz, based off his second win over Frampton, would it be fair to say that he's the consensus number one and that he just might be a level above most of these guys so far?
Yes.
All right.
Maybe.
So we got Corruption saying yes. We got Reverse saying maybe. What would it take for you to? What would it take for Santa Cruz? What does he need to do for you to be convinced that he is the cream of the crop at 126?
Just beat one of the other champions.
Okay, so you want him to...
he already beat Frampton, Matias. I mean, just a few more names. That's it. Maybe one more big name.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem,
unify.
You're not getting unifications. You know, you've had 3 belts owned by the PBC. The fighters have had over 2 years of fighting each other. That hasn't happened. Gary Russell is not even remotely interested in boxing, so he ain't gonna fight any of these other clowns. The only way there's gonna be a change is if Jojo Diaz does get the fight with him, is able to beat him, and then it may open up then. And if Josh Warrington actually beats Lee Selby, then you might get a little bit more activity. But at the moment, with the status quo, I think it's just going to be another frustrating division until you get like a super serious World Series of Boxing involved in featherweight, and you force all of these clowns to participate. But that ain't gonna happen.
You're not gonna get that with. You're not gonna get that with 2 PBC champions.
Yeah, exactly. So the 126 division is frustrating, but it's a load of bullshit.
Well, I mean, it's these fucking promotional lines that you got Golden Boy, you got Top Rank, you got the PBC, and they're on different networks, and that's the shame of it all that we didn't even get to talk about, which is we got all these great potential fights to be made, but they're all with different promoters, so good luck for them to get together and actually make the fights, because they all want to keep it in the house.
Yeah, exactly, that's why Vasily Lomachenko got the fuck out of 126, because he could see what was happening there. He wasn't going to get any unifications with any of these other guys, so...
Alright. Hold on a second. 68 finally sent me his email. We're gonna have him here for a couple of minutes before we go, because we do have to go. Hold on a second. Hey, had we already had 68 in the chat, Pucho? Because I think I already had his email there.
I don't know. I don't think he's ever been on the Hangouts.
I thought he'd been in that, because I when I put his email in the invite thing, I think he was already there. Anyway, well, yeah, I want to get his thoughts on Quigg Valdez, since he's from the UK, and maybe if we have some time, real quick, also on some of the other fights. But yeah, I mean, I thought we had some great fights last night. Pretty interesting fights. Which one is next week? Hold on a second. What's the fight next week? It's Amir Imam versus... Anybody know what the fight is? It's Amir Imam versus Valdez, right? I mean, not Valdez. What's his freaking name?
I don't think anybody cares.
Oh, come on. That's a good fight on paper, man.
Let's see.
Anyway, whatever. Look, running out of time here. Where the fuck is 68?
Just give him a fucking link, man.
Yeah. All right. So listen, I'm trying to find out here also the fight next week. I'm looking at ESPN and Jose Ramirez. That's his name. Undefeated. I haven't seen a lot of him, so I want to see more of him this week before I make a prediction. Amir Imam, who a lot of people thought he was going to be the next big prospect, and he ended up getting stopped by Granados, who's, hey, he's a tough guy. Also on the undercard, apparently, Michael Conlan is going to be fighting, and Alexander Gvozdyk as well. So, but listen, with Michael Conlan, until he actually steps in there against a live body, I'm not all that interested in seeing him fight. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a good development fight, I suppose, but it's like with, what's his other name? Shakur Stevenson. Is anybody really excited to see this type of high-level prospects taking on guys that have no chance of beating them?
No.
Nope.
I don't give a shit. No.
Undercards, and as much as I love boxing, undercards can be very tedious when you're watching these prospects. You've got some bum in there who's been given a couple of days' notice. He's got 30 defeats with 1 draw or something on his record, and it's just tedious.
Absolutely.
I'm going to keep it real.
I agree with you there, man. It's listen, when they start stepping it up, that's when you really have to keep an eye on them. All right, we got 68's Dark Voyeurism on the Hangout. 68, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, thanks for being on. First of all, get your thoughts real quick on, because we have to go, man. You came in at the last second, but your thoughts on Valdez Quigg.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to see that fight. The fight I saw was between Rances Barthelemy and who was it again? Forgive me. The Kirill, whatever name.
Relikh.
That's the fight I got to see. But I saw the after effect of
Relikh,
yeah. Yeah, I saw the after effect of the fight on Scott Quigg. I knew he was going to lose anyway because, quite frankly, his style is just tailor-made for a Mexican fighter. He tries to buff from side to side, but it's not very effective. He's an easy target. I feel that he should change his trainer. What's the name of that trainer again, Stuart? The popular trainer that gets Trainer of the Year every year in England. The one that trains those brothers and everybody else.
Joe Gallagher.
Yeah,
Joe Gallagher.
I just don't think. Yeah, I don't think he's a very good trainer. I think that the way he trains his fighters.
He's with Freddie Roach now. He's with Freddie.
Oh, is he?
Roach now, though.
Well, that's even worse.
Yeah, he's been with Freddie Roach
he
for a while.
He will learn how to defend. He will learn to become an offensive fighter. So I think he really does need to get some defense. I knew he was going to lose it, to be honest. He was no match for Oscar Valdez. Oscar Valdez is an Olympian. There was just no. I just thought it was a fight. I didn't think it was going to be competitive. I didn't watch it, and when I saw the after effect, it was no surprise to me.
Well, that's the question, because 126 is a loaded division. There's a lot of big names out there. Let me just put up the page again. Okay, that's not it. But yeah, it's a loaded division. Where do you see Valdez going on from here?
Valdez at 126. Well, because Lomachenko's moved up to 130, I think he's rather safe. But 126, I think he's got Leo Santa Cruz, right? And Frampton and all them. I think he can give Leo Santa Cruz a very good fight. I think that would be a very, very good fight, in fact, if they get to make it with Al Heyman and everybody else. Oscar Valdez is with whom? With Top Rank, right?
Right.
Yeah, so that's out of the question. And then we have, you said you were talking about Gary Russell, right? That's a good fight. That's a fight that could really work. But Gary Russell has a belt right now, WBC, if I'm not mistaken. That he got off Johnny Gonzalez or something like that.
Let me check. He's got the WBC.
Yeah, he got it off Johnny. Yeah, so he's got that belt. And the thing is, a fight between him and Gary Russell could work because Gary Russell is sort of halfway in, halfway out with the Al Heyman situation. That's why he's been kind of frozen out in the cold. He never really attached himself to Al Heyman as closely as many of the other fighters. So he's sort of like been left to sort of stew a little bit, pardon the pun. But in many ways, that would be a very good fight. But, Oscar Valdez, I don't really know. I think he's one of those people who's going to end up at the end of the day looking like Brandon Rios. I'm not particularly certain that I see what's really great about him, to be honest. I think he's a guy who gives a good fight he was in a very tough fight against, was it Mariaga or something?
Yeah.
He just takes these fights. He makes very easy fights look difficult. I think he's going to end up taking a lot of damage, but as somebody pointed out, a long time,
68. He left last night on a wheelchair.
I saw it.
With his jaw broken.
He just takes his time.
Are you actually comparing his fighting style to Brandon Rios, though?
I mean,
do you see are you actually comparing Brandon Rios with the way Valdez fights? Because if you look at Valdez yesterday, man, he actually showed some defensive.
May I just stop you there? I'm not comparing him stylistically. I'm saying he could end up like Brandon Rios. Okay? I mean, let's not conflate.
End up like Brandon Rios, getting knocked out?
He could, he could get knocked out. He could end
I
up...
don't think so, because they have different styles.
You can disagree if you want. You can disagree. I'm just giving my opinion.
I understand it's your opinion. I'm giving mine.
Yes, fair enough. I'm just giving my opinion.
Okay, so you don't have to say it's your opinion. My opinion.
Wait. Let's not argue. Butcher, do you want me to get off? Is that it? Because it seems like you want to antagonize me. This is not what this is about.
I'm not antagonizing you at all. I'm just saying it's your opinion. You don't have to say it's your opinion and my opinion. I already know that.
All right. Well, I guess well, first of all, I think you know what, Bucho. I think what got to you was that whole thing about Rios. He's not saying that Rios. He's not saying Valdez fights.
No, I understand, but I'm saying I disagree with that.
Okay.
That's pretty much all I'm saying.
Man, I'm not impressed by Valdez. Like, he's fun to watch, and he's tough, and he takes a good ass beating. But to me, I only tuned in for the second half of that fight, and it looked like Cotto Margarito Part 2, and I was like, oh shit, is Quigg about to knock him out? Obviously, it didn't happen, and I didn't have the foreshadowing of the first few rounds. But in my opinion, he's a knockout waiting to happen unless he really fixes the major flaws he has. Now, he has a lot more movement, and he's slicker, if you will, than someone like Brendan Rios. But I'm not impressed. He's fun to watch, but man, he's got huge holes in his game, and I could see him getting starched by a puncher.
Well, as I said before, the guy is too. Was that?
Vasquez is the sort of guy that could get knocked out by Donaire.
Well, you keep saying Vasquez.
We talked about Donaire not really knocking anyone. Vasquez, like I said before, he sits in the pocket, square on, far too long. But for someone with a big counter punch or a decent left hook like Donaire, Quigg was tagging him with that left hook all night. It was the only punch that's really landing properly. And I think someone with a good left hook like Donaire could trouble Vasquez. I think that's one fight Donaire could. Obviously, he's going to take a lot of punishment, and the likelihood he'll get stopped. But he's got a chance in that fight, definitely.
But you keep saying Vasquez, man.
Valdez. Sorry, bro.
I know.
Valdez. I don't know why I keep saying Valdez.
I know you said you're tired, but
You better get your head and your ass wired together, or I will take a giant shit on you.
I mean, come on.
Hey, bro, it's 12 o'clock midnight. I'm tired, man. I've had a long day. I was up till, like I said, 5 o'clock in the morning watching the boxing, so I keep saying Vasquez. I don't know why I got Miguel Vasquez on my fucking mind for some reason. But Valdez, I watched the fight, so you know what I'm talking about. I'm just explaining the whole fight to you, so. Yeah,
no, I agree, man. Listen, like Precise said, and I said it before, Valdez is too left hook happy. The guy will just throw hooks. When he finally started mixing in some straight shots, alright, he had some success. But he made a good comparison, which flashed in my mind when I was watching the Quigg-Valdez fight, especially after the 6th round. It looked a lot like Cotto Margarito. You had to wonder whether Quigg was going to get to Valdez and get him out. Credit to Valdez, he's got good stamina, especially against the guy that came in overweight and who was trying to muscle him around. But still, I mean, he's got a lot of...
Quigg,
Valdez got... He got like a sec. He looked like he was going to blow. Like when he got hurt. That round he got hurt. He was blowing. You know, but it just never really materialised, did it? And Valdez was strong enough and fit enough to keep throwing combinations, keep scoring to the 12th round. To be honest with you, so you got to give him credit for that. But I thought he was going to fade.
But Quigg showed no respect for Valdez's power, though. Now is it because he was so big, or is it because Valdez doesn't hit that hard? Which one? Both?
Valdez probably not. Valdez doesn't hit as hard as we think he does. It's more explosive with Valdez. It just sounds nasty. You can hear the connection and the ferociousness of it. Do you know what I mean? It's
Plus
fucking
he-
sharp and it's
Plus,
quick.
he loads up on it and makes
So I don't think it carries
noises.
that. But it just sounds. I think it sounds more devastating than it actually is. Because, like you said, Quigg was walking through the punches, but he's still got enough power in his shots to break people's noses and cut their eyes. And a lesser man than Scott Quigg would have been out of there early.
Maybe.
I think the thing with Valdez is, and this is something common with young fighters, is that when he sees that you can kind of feel his strength, he gets excited and he starts trying to knock you out. And he doesn't quite have the patience that a more experienced world level fighter usually has. Like,
yeah, that's.
I think.
Like a guy we talked about yesterday, Donnie Nietes, where he doesn't really open up and start attacking until he sees that he's hurt you really badly. And even then, he still keeps his guard tight. Valdez is a guy who, after he starts getting warmed up to the ring, regardless of what point the fight is at, he's more than willing to open up. And a lot of times, that can leave him open to a lot of big shots that he doesn't need to take.
Well, there you have it, guys. We can keep talking about this fight during the midweek podcast, but unfortunately for now, we do have to go. Let's give a shout out to everybody that was in the chat room before we go. Is there any last thing anybody wants to say before we leave? Anything?
Nah.
All right.
Second Renaissance.
Is it Dillian White versus Lucas Brown next week, isn't it?
Let me check. I thought that was 2 weeks later. March 17th.
I thought Joshua was 2 weeks because Joshua was on the 30th.
No, I think
I think it's a week before that.
I think Dillian White is in April, I believe.
No, it's March. Sure it is.
Yes, it's March 24.
Ah, there you go.
So 2 weeks from now, then.
Yeah, in London, March 24th.
At the O2 Arena.
I don't recognize anybody in the undercard. Anyway, all right. So that's the fight we're gonna get on March 24th. I want to give a shout out to Tubes, Recognize the Matrix, Nicola Ferrari, Coran Bread, Aiden Morrison, Juicy Greatest of All Time, Michael Stott, 2 different people, Omar Ali, Coran Bread, German Persian, Kaiser Koba, Akuma's Deception was here as well. Who else? Recognize the Matrix, I said. Darth Vader. I think. Who else was Recognize the Matrix? Yeah, Tubes, Kaiser Koba. Scott was in here as well. John Gonzalez. I'm telling you, there's 2 Scots here. What the fuck? Malik Osman. All right, Koran Bread. So yeah, guys, thank you for joining us, man. You guys make this what it is. Well, Butcher, you want the Fox Strikes as well. Recognize the Matrix. You want to talk about the Second Renaissance there, right, Butcher?
Yeah. Should we start a show this week or?
Yeah. I would assume maybe Tuesday or Thursday. Definitely not the same day.
I don't know. Let's see what the people say.
Let's see what the people say. All right, and I can't forget, of course, the people in the panel. I want to thank Stu Little, who was here, Reverse Leap, Precise Puncher, Corruption in Boxing, who was here as well, 68's Dark Voyeurism, who left unannounced. Butcher, did you drive him off, man? Butcher?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you disagreed with him, and then he said, "Oh, you're disagreeing with me. You're getting pretty."
Well, I disagree. It's fine. We disagree. But then he goes on like, "Well, that's your opinion. I'm just saying my opinion." I know you're saying your opinion. You don't have to say it. Like he's already aggressive and shit. Fuck it, man.
Anyway, I
know who that is. Anyways, man, I know who he's trying to act all differently. But look at how he talks in other podcasts. It's fucking chaos, man.
All right. Well, listen. If he wants to come back, the door is open for everybody, as long as they don't disrupt the rhythm of the show. So yeah, thank you guys. Don't forget to check out Reverse Lee's channel. I heard he wants to. You said you want to make more videos now lately. I mean, in the coming weeks.
I put up one today.
Okay.
Send us your. I'll find your YouTube channel.
We already have it. We put it on the.
I'll put it in the description.
But it's already there in the. I mean, it's already in the.
No,
the
you only have. You only put his Twitter account.
No shit. Okay, so see, I can be wrong if I was no. All right, so Stuart, everybody's saying you should restart your channel. Also, don't forget to check out Precise Puncher's channel. I haven't seen it yet.
Content.
Was that?
Do you know what? Like I said, do you know what? Like I said, I'm quite a busy man. I've had a bit of time on my hands lately, so I've really enjoyed coming on. And this show's enough for me. I come on, talk boxing for 3 hours. That's enough for me. I don't need to be doing videos and everything else. I'm quite happy to come on here and chat with you guys.
And we're happy to have you too, man. Thanks. Don't forget to check out Precise Puncher's YouTube channel as well. And he just posted a video, I think some 16, 17 hours ago, regarding, what was it, Precise? What was the video? I think it was about Canelo again. I think Precise is on the move.
Sorry.
Don't worry about it.
Laying brick. I got you on mute.
Laying brick. Oh, Jesus.
Yes. Say what?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I've been going in on Canelo because I don't like the whole media cover-up. And I have to make a correction because I made a mistake in that video, but the main point still holds true that whether it was meat or the pill, the guy's on clenbuterol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's definitely on something, man. And you look at his body and it's just red flags all over the place. Disgusting, really. Absolutely disgusting. Don't forget also check out Corruption in Boxing's YouTube channel. We're going to put that link in the description as well with all the others. Guys, thank you for joining us. You guys make this show what it is. Don't forget we are going to be starting Second Renaissance. We do need moderators for the Facebook page as well that we're going to be starting. Don't forget to like and subscribe this channel and BDA, the regular channel. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next one, folks. Take care.
Peace.
Take it easy, guys.
In a bit.
Bye.